World of Warcraft, the Burning Crusade, and we're going to tell you a little bit about our new expansion pack coming out this year. The Burning Crusade is actually going to cater to both playstyles, people who have been playing WoW since it released in 2004 of November, and brand new players. So the new players will have 2 new races to play. So if they purchase expansion right away, they can play the Blood Elves or the Draenei and get right into it. What's exciting about the Blood Elves is they're kind of the first pretty race that the Horde has gotten. A lot of the Horde characters are very monstrous, which turn off a lot of players. A certain demographic only likes to play really attractive looking characters, so the Blood Elves will bring a prettier face to the Horde, and also their starting lands are very beautiful. Most of the Horde starting areas are very harsh and desolate, or kind of gloomy and rainy, and the Blood Elf starting area, Eversong Forest, is this beautiful elven forest, so we think it'll be pretty exciting for people to play. The Draenei are certainly not ugly. A lot of people ask us, are you going to make an ugly race for the Alliance since you're making such a pretty race for the Horde? But the problem we have is we just want to make everything as cool as possible, so we weren't trying to purposely make the Alliance race ugly. In fact, if you look at the female Draenei, she's actually quite beautiful. The male is very buff and has a very distinct look. So we were going for something that was mainly cool, and they definitely look alien and different than the normal races of the Alliance, but they're by no means ugly. It was kind of a holy or protected subject on the development team, whether or not we wanted to let the other classes switch over to the other side. And ultimately, we felt like we were constantly pushing the Paladin and Shaman in the same direction in order to keep them fair. Whenever we'd add something cool to the Paladin, we'd have to add an equivalent to the Shaman. And the way World of Warcraft class design works, each class has extremely distinct and unique abilities and sort of mechanics supporting that class. So we had 2 conflicting design philosophies going on, and we were more interested in making the Shaman and Paladin distinct from each other rather than constantly having to play a game of fairness. So we feel like now that we've crossed over onto the other alliances, we have the design freedom to push the classes in any direction we want. One of the most exciting things about the expansion is the chance to open up new areas. World of Warcraft takes place in the Warcraft universe, which has existed for a number of years. Blizzard's been making Warcraft games for over a decade now. But what'll be exciting for WoW players is the fact that they'll have all these new lands to adventure in. So a lot of Outland looks very desolate and ripped apart. You'll see a lot of pieces of rock floating off into the twisting nether, but we've also had some areas of the new continent that are pristine and beautiful, because we realize players don't like constantly playing in that oppressive feel of a desert environment or a harsh environment. So we really try to mix up the scenery that players get to see. The new quests span the whole range of gameplay. We have a lot of quests that are just fun, what we call bread and butter quests, where players can go out and solo or group with one other person and complete a number of quests in one night. We also have quests that are more group oriented, so if you want to get 5 other people together and do some more challenging content like a dungeon or something like that, you can do that as well. There are actually huge changes to PvP in this expansion, and that's something that I'm pretty excited to talk about. We felt like our initial implementation of the PvP system was pretty good, but it had some inherent flaws. Currently, players spend a lot of time invested in earning their way through the PvP system, and while it is a competitive system, they're competing with players on their own side, which kind of goes against the core philosophy of World of Warcraft, which is Horde versus Alliance. So in this expansion, we're really excited to introduce a arena combat system, and the way that will work is players get to form teams. Right now we're thinking 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3, and 5 versus 5. We might change those numbers as we get into beta, but you can actually form this team separate from your guild, separate from a group, and then compete in a very competitive ladder. There's two modes to it. One is just practice mode, so you can get better, and then the other is head-to-head competitive mode, which only exists at the maximum level. And the way that the system works is it's very competitive, skill-based ladder, similar to a chess ELO rating system. So if you beat the top player, you will take that spot and become the top team in the system. Flying mounts are going to be pretty cool. So the zones we built in Outland are bigger than the zones we have in the existing world. For example, the first zone players get to is Hellfire Peninsula, which is actually larger than Eastern Plaguelands for players who are familiar with the game. In order to expedite travel around these lands, we're introducing flying mounts.
The only drawback to these babies is they don't have cup holders,
which are very similar to our Griffin and Wyverns that fly around the world in the existing game. Only players have complete control over these mounts, and they can fly anywhere they want in the game. It also afforded us some interesting design decisions where we could create content that's only accessible by flying mounts. So we have a dungeon called Tempest Keep and a zone called Netherstorm that's sort of broken apart, bits of floating rock and these flying islands, and you can only get to the dungeon via flying mount. So we feel like this will be a really cool new addition to the game. Obtaining a flying mount is still under debate. We think it's going to involve some sort of monetary cost, hopefully nothing unreasonable, but we'd like to involve a quest as well, so players really feel like they earn it, so it becomes that special moment and they can sort of show it off and feel like they've accomplished something. One of the things that we constantly do to the user interface is try to upgrade it over time. Some examples of this that we've done just in our live patches our raid interface. We recently put a ready check-in, we put a raid warning system in, we also put the raid target icons that allow players to mark different creatures in the world to help other players understand what's going on better. So one of the big things that we're planning for the expansion is a looking for group tool. We feel like the game needs improved looking for group functionality to help players just find each other in our massive game world. So that's a pretty exciting one that's coming down the pipe. I think all the core elements of World of Warcraft are already driving towards community. We recognize that community is what ultimately keeps a lot of players involved and invested in the game. So one thing we made sure of doing when we were building this expansion was focusing heavily on 3 of our brand new cities for the expansion. You've got Silvermoon City for the Blood Elves, Exodar for the Draenei, and a city for both up in Outland called Shatrath. And we realized that these cities become community hubs, that when players aren't actively involved in adventuring in the game, they like to go to the city just to socialize, to show off what their characters look like. They dance emote with each other, they chat, they trade, they auction house, they do all those things that are more community oriented. So we spent a lot of time reviewing our city design and trying to come up with a city design that encouraged community interaction, but sort of discouraged some of the unhealthy stuff that was happening in our old cities, which, for example, there was only one bank and auction house, so players would Hearthstone back to the city and get a lot of lag because their video cards couldn't load everything in time. So in Silvermoon, for example, there are 2 main hubs with an auction house, bank, and an inn in each one. So I think that will really help drive some community interaction and expansion. People who don't buy the expansion will still be able to keep playing like they always have. They will not be able to progress past level 60, so they'll still be capped there. But they'll be able to see Blood Elves and Draenei, just not travel to their areas. Also, there are certain things that we refer to as portable items, such as hunter pets that they've tamed in Outland, or items. Players who do not purchase expansion will be able to buy Outland items from the auction house from players who have purchased the expansion. It's now a pretty big production. We shipped the game with about 40 or 50 developers, and now we're up to 100. So we feel like we've learned how to make WoW really well, and we realize we need even more people to do it better.
All right, folks. Welcome back. World of Warcraft enthusiasts the world over, today is the day. Today is the day. We are very excited to share with you these developments. Welcome back, folks, to GMA 56. 56 episodes.
Woo!
It's great to 57. Be here with you.
57.
57, sorry about that.
57.
57.
Something's got to be scuffed, you know it.
Yep. It's great to be back here with the boys, man. We got Dunedain, Def Camp, and Melderon, the whole gang. How's everyone doing today?
I'm doing fucking fantastic.
Yo, Def Camp so much.
Except for I gotta drink this fucking Soylent in a second, so it tastes like shit, but oh well.
What flavor Soylent, my man?
57.
Well,
crazy news that they wake up to this morning.
Right?
That's right! Blizzard went up and made an oopsie, and they leaked out that they're gonna fucking announce TBC at BlizzCon.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow!
We'll go over it. We'll go over it. Yo, many
sorry,
exciting.
Did I just shoot my a little quick?
It's all good, bro. It's all good. It happens, man. Yeah, many exciting announcements tomorrow, hopefully. But the biggin is potentially out of the bag right now. But yo, let's just catch up real quick. I haven't talked to you guys in a bit. How you doing, Dunedain? How you been, man?
Good. Well, as far as COVID is any good, right? I didn't have COVID, but I mean, you can't go anywhere. So even as a gamer, after how long is it? 1 year of COVID, it gets boring at some point, you know. But other than that, everything's fine. Been playing a lot of classic, really, bits of Hearthstone. Spicy news. I've been leveling a Warlock. I might switch mains in TBC. I might.
Warlock?
Wait a minute. You're going from the
classes.
fucking light to the dark?
You're like the most paladin
strange,
person
right?
ever, bro.
Strange.
Yeah.
I might.
No.
It's a possibility. It's like
This is like finding out that Santa Claus isn't real.
What a fall from grace, man. Dunedain.
Yeah, well, I mean, it looks fun. Honestly, I've been playing Warlock on endless TBC server. You know, I've been playing Red Paladin on that as well. Holy Shock Paladin, trying stuff out, and Warlock it's honestly quite fun.
Dude,
but so it's
you just broke so many alliance
So many fangirls, man.
fangirls' hearts. Seriously.
But in reality, is it that much different? I mean, he's just going from spamming Holy Light to Shadow Ball.
It looks fun, aka the class is so broken I went to play it.
Yeah.
Yo, Cry, thank you for the sub. Everybody, thank you for the sub. Abide, good to see you, my man, Corny B. We got Fitched in the house. We got $10 from Blazing Bob. Thank you for being here, folks. It's going to be an exciting show.
Yeah.
Melderon and Def Camp, though. I also haven't heard from you guys that much. I saw Melderon sneaking in some Diablo recently. I've been honestly, Diablo has me by the nutsack, man. I can't do anything. I'm in paralysis, right? Like I just keep grinding these rifts. It's too fun, Melderon.
It is funny. Thanks for getting me back into it. I haven't played since pretty much after launch, and then I came back for Reaper of Souls and just to beat the game.
Oh, I didn't even come back for that.
And
dude.
it's a lot. I don't know. Like I really enjoy the hardcore seasonal stuff because and pumping up the difficulty, like it makes you really more into the game. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah, man. But things have been good though with the guild and everything. I saw you guys got your ATS show today.
Yeah, we got our first ATS.
Yo, Cargos, can I say we at one point we were #1 fastest KT kill on the server.
Wow.
Faster than Onslaught. Even though, I know that they had some issues, but this was before that. And right now we lost it, but we still have #4 in the world Horde. Number 4 fastest KT cleared.
You'll love to see it, man.
Shout out to Eden, baby.
Also, but Onslaught though, you heard the news about Onslaught, right? The GM quit and everything.
Very unfortunate.
Well,
Faye, yeah.
I mean, look at it this way: the guy set out to do what he wanted to do, right? I mean, he led one of the most successful guilds in the world, and he, that dude led every raid team in that guild, every single one of them.
And he also did on private servers as well.
Yeah. I mean, look, good for him. He got to where he wanted to do, and he's hanging up his, boots or whatever you want to call it. So,
Shouts out to Faye.
so he's leaving with grace, kind of. It wasn't like a horrible implosion or anything.
Oh,
I don't know much about
not at all. Not at
they
all.
still have one.
They still exist.
One raid team going right now, under a different name though, I believe, right?
I don't know. Like, I don't want to kind of get into. All I know is they still exist. Yep, and it was a pleasure watching them play. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, They
Speaking of a Tiege, we getting first a Tiege this Sunday most likely. We got to 50 splinters. Just need
We're
to
already
clear
halfway to a second
80.
one.
wow.
No, so the first one. Sorry, it's first one.
No, I mean we are. We're halfway to a second one already.
Yeah, but you know, we got it's something with the fellowship and legendary drops. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, no, I'm saying like we got really lucky with ATS.
Yeah, we
splinters,
never.
like last
The
night.
fact that
It was
your
crazy.
guilds are still strong and pumping though is really impressive, man. Pretty much everybody I talk to, their raids are in shambles, bro. They have like 20 people showing up or less. You know, people
really?
are just dropping off, not just because they're done with the game or whatever, right? So the fact you guys are still going, man, and keeping the ship afloat, it's
a tough time. It's a tough time for people to want to continue raiding, right? Like especially now with the announcement. You know, it's just you have to just think to yourself: do you enjoy raiding every week? And if you do, that's great. You know, and I think that's why we continue doing it because we enjoy it. But you know, I wouldn't be surprised at some point we take a break before TBC comes out as well. Just kind of like chill out for a couple weeks, you know, maybe a month. You know, because there's no reason to keep, you know, stressing yourself out every week, you know.
The good thing is that we're continuing the TBC. We have a lot of people who are wanting to come with us, and you know, I think we really set out and did what we wanted to do in Classic. I am more than fucking happy with what we with our outcome and where we reached, and I just want to shout out to everyone in the guild. Eden, if you're listening, love you guys. Thank you all so much. Seriously, it was an amazing fucking run. We're not done yet. It's like a long way to go, and we know, you know, some more TBC stuff. But before we continue, can I please bless this GMA?
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. I got a little special one. So, and my mic is a new mic, so I might not teeter out. So you just, you know, might want to keep it a little low. But here we go. Good morning, Azeroth and Outland, aka fucking Outland, aka I'm sorry, Draenor.
Yo, same shit, right? Draenor and Outland.
Yeah, Draenor and
Yeah.
Outland,
Hell yeah.
dude. Here we fucking come. Good morning, Outland. It wasn't called Draenor until fucking. Well, I mean, it was still Draenor, but like, yeah, we called Outland.
It was called Draenor by the Draenei.
Yeah, we called
it
Outland.
feels like
Draenei,
just
excuse
yesterday,
me.
man, when we were doing our first GMAs before Classic came out, right?
Dude, I know.
You know, Classic had its issues for sure, and you know, community learned a lot. But I can definitely say with confidence, looking back over the past 2 years, been some of the best years of my life, man. Just, I had so much fun with Classic, and I still am having fun, you know. And really, even more so than the game, man. Just the people, man.
Yeah, hardcore was huge. I mean, look at it this way, right? Like COVID was horrible. Like it is horrible, and it's continued to suck. But like, dude,
Thank God we had WoW.
the fact that we had Classic WoW come out, you know, in this pandemic, it at least gave us something to kind of play and look forward to, you know. So, and some people would even say they wouldn't be able to play Classic WoW the extent that they have because of the pandemic. So
For sure.
I know that's true for me, but yeah.
Hell yeah, man. And now it's time for the next chapter, potentially.
Fuck, dude.
So,
TBC, boys. So I like. I know a lot of you guys here. You know, we're always like, yeah, Classic. This, you know, I love. And listen, I love Classic. It is my. I had so much fun here, but like, when I heard the announcement, you know, a few years back, that Classic, you know, when BlizzCon announced, like when JL and Brack did his thing, you know, JL and Crack. I like as soon as I heard the announcement, literally my first thought was, they're gonna fucking bring out TBC, dude. Like that was my end game. You know what I mean? Like that was my initial thought. And like, you know, I started playing midway, a little later towards Vanilla WoW, Vanilla WoW back in the day. But I didn't get to experience, you know, everything. So it was nice to be able to do that in Classic here, right? Because I really barely rated. I did do so on private servers. TBC for me, even though I did experience all the content and was able to do all the raids and to do PvP, I had so much fun during that time. And being able to have that again is for me like, I cannot wait, right? Holy Priest and TBC for me, the best class spec combo, like the best fucking spec. Discipline Priest, you know, the best in fucking PvP. Shadow, amazing. Like I'm just so excited, and I just hope they don't fuck it up, right? That's what that's my really big concern is that they don't, you know, mess this up. So I got faith though, man. I got faith.
Yeah, they've done some things recently that have been kind of like impressive stuff that like hasn't made them more money. The multi-boxing change. I know that definitely was like a shocker to me. Like they got rid of software multi-boxing. But I mean, dude, this is a big deal, man. We'll get into the news in a second. But assuming TBC is coming, which it pretty much is confirmed now, that opens the doors towards Wrath and stuff. Like, I mean. They could have either gone in the direction of, okay, we're just going to recreate the original classic game, leave it as is, and that's it. That's our homage to the original game. No interest in making a whole bunch of different servers with different metas and all this. But they crossed that line in the sand, right? So that's if there's TBC, one would think that Wrath is almost an inevitability too, right? At some point. So.
Yeah, unless TBC is a complete flop, which I don't think it will be. I think it'll be more. I think it'll actually be more popular than Classic in a lot of ways because it's. We don't know exactly how the world buffs are. The world buffs shouldn't be in the game. There are still some. You still get Darkmoon Fair. There's people saying that maybe even Slong. I don't want to get into that, but like world buffs will be heavily reduced, if not gone, and I think that'll keep a lot of retention. And then you have Arena, right? So, those things together will keep a lot of people engaged for longer periods of time. And I think I think the fights, the mechanics, the overall aesthetic is more enjoyable as well. So.
Gotcha. Sorry, that was, the sound issue was something else. Okay, it should be fixed now. Sorry about that, guys.
Okay, good.
Okay,
good.
There's another, video going in the back as well somewhere.
Oh, that's what it
the
was,
layers, yeah.
I see. Shall we go into the blue post a little bit?
Yeah, let's go into it. This is 4 hours, 15 minutes ago. What happened?
So, yeah. I just want to read the top here, and then but it says, look what it says. The Burning Crusade Classic has been confirmed in a BlizzCon line leak from an official press kit accidentally uploaded by Blizzard.
Accidentally, in air quotes.
Do you think they just either said, fuck it? I mean,
no,
that's
why
a
would
big
you
fuck
do
up,
that?
right?
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
I don't know why you would do that, right? There's no reason.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that maybe they would do this to build hype, but when it's so close to the announcement tomorrow, I mean, then
it's weird, isn't it?
We're all going to be excited when they announce it, but it's mitigating against the excitement.
I think someone did a big fuck up, honestly. I think someone put something out too early because, I think they've been hinting at it. If you look at the launcher. Right below the new fucking Blizzard launcher, which I don't like new stuff, so I don't like it, but it looks nice. Whatever, whoever worked on a great job. I actually talked to the guy who does the blade, whatever. But if you go down and look, where they have that picture, it's like Illidan, Asbestos Lady, Lilith.
Dude, her name's Lilith.
Yeah, and then fucking the new Lich King Bolvar. But the left picture is Illidan. I know it's Hearthstone. I know he's got the cars and shit, but I think it's like a hint towards, Illidan's coming back in some form or another at TBC, something like that. So I don't know. I think that they probably did leak this by accident, but like I said, it's a pretty big leak. You know what I mean? Someone fucked up big there.
Yeah, someone's losing their job, maybe.
Yeah.
It's not like we didn't see it coming, right? But the leak has some interesting information, really. If you look into it, at first sight, it seems like, okay, it's coming. We have Blood Elves, we have Draenei, we have Jewelry. But if you really look into what they actually write, you can see some other stuff, which is, I would say, a little bit concerning. So I don't know what you guys think of it.
Let's go line by line with it. Yeah, we'll go line by line with
it.
Go
line by line.
Well, the first part is not very interesting, right? You can go line by line if you want, but it just states you have the Burning Crusade, basically, with Blood Elves, Draenei, you have Jewelry, you have Zankar March, you have the new zones, you have Black Temple, things like that.
Let's just read it real quick. Let's read the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, even before the blue post up here, it says, we do not have a release date in the press kit, but we do know it is coming in 2021. So that is less than a year away, because we are in 2021, obviously, right? So some people might have thought, they're going to announce TBC, but there's a good shot that maybe it's out next year or something in 2022. No.
Oh,
so we are months away.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, that's cool, man. Just a little nugget right there. Burning Crusade Classic will roll out in phases, and WoW Classic players can decide to progress their characters on TBC servers or new Classic Era servers. What is a Classic Era server? I've never heard this jargon used before as a descriptor towards servers. Are they just saying, you know?
I personally think they wouldn't use the word fresh because it doesn't sound very professional, right? So
that's a fucking private server term.
They're not going to put fresh in all caps with one space in between each letter.
Exactly right. Exactly. Yeah. You know, so they wouldn't use that word 100%. Classic Era is the one that's confusing, right? Because TBC is in the Classic Era, right? It's TBC Classic. So what the hell does that even mean?
So I'm reading into this, right? So again, Burning Crusade will roll out in phases, and WoW Classic players can decide to progress their characters, which means thank fucking God Blizzard for not doing the crazy thing and just making everyone roll new people. That would have been horrible. To decide to progress their characters on TBC servers or new Classic Era servers. So does that mean those are the only two choices? The new
here's the thing,
Classic
right?
Era servers.
Say you don't upgrade one of your classes. Let's say one of your alts. You don't decide to go to TBC. What happens to that? Right. It goes to a new Classic Era server, but that alt might have tier 3 gear on.
Right. That's my question.
So it doesn't tell you that it's fresh or not. It just says a new Classic Era server.
To be fair, the way they stated, it seems like it's still fully progressed servers. If you can put your old characters on them, it doesn't make sense to start from MC again, because, like you said, you will probably have gear which is from later phases. So to me, this is also a little bit concerning. It seems like just a sale classic vanilla server where your old characters can go and just, I don't know what you want to do then.
It's
hang around in Stormwind. I don't know. It seems strange.
Do some BGs or some hardcore, and then it's. But the thing is like, when they say here like the characters progress on new Classic Era servers, does that? I think, hopefully what they're going to do here is give you the chance to progress onto the TBC servers with your character, right? And then what I'm thinking here is hopefully some new Classic fresh servers, and also when Blizzard came out with TBC, they did also bring out new servers to help with the load of people that were going to be coming for TBC. So what I'm hoping they do is that they make some fresh TBC servers where people who want to experience from
the word fresh. Don't use the word fresh.
I'm sorry, a new era, whatever fucking server, right?
Just a new server.
A new server, right? So I'm hoping what they're going to do is, mostly have people that continue over and have these new servers, and maybe even lock them potentially for a little bit from transfers for the first few months, so that you don't have a whole influx of people coming with their their geared up level 60s and running.
All right, so what's your horse in the race? Just describe it just as simply as you can. What you believe, like if you were a betting man, right? You had to guess how they're going to do this. What's your guess, Melderon?
All right. Here's my bet. The bet is they're going to progress all the servers that currently exist in the TBC. They won't do a thing about the issues with faction imbalances, and we'll have to just deal with that. That's my guess if I had to put money on it. And the new Classic servers, the way this is worded, would mean that they wouldn't be fresh. They would just be literally sitting places for your characters that you want to keep them on. I hope I'm wrong. If I had to bet, that's what I would bet.
So you don't think there will be, like, it doesn't have to be either or. Do you think, like, if you had to bet money on it, that there would be Classic fresh in addition to those kind of, like, Hall of Fame servers, whatever you want to call, like, places
I wouldn't put money on it.
No,
I wouldn't put money on it.
Okay.
I hope that exists, Cargos, but I wouldn't put money on it.
Yeah. What about you, Dunedin? What do you realistically think they're going to do?
It's exactly the same as Melderon. If I have to put money on it, I think there's not going to be fresh, whatever era, new era, fresh. Yeah, well, I mean, phase 1 servers, that's not going to happen. I don't think. The way they worded it, it seems like just stale content end game servers where you can sit on and don't do anything. That's how it feels. And same thing as Meltron said again. I don't think it seems like the realm you have will just progress. If you click yes, I want to progress, then the same people on the same realm will go to TBC. So it doesn't feel like they're doing anything with balance, like faction balance. Honestly, I think we will not really, if I can go on a little bit beyond this point, I don't think we will get too much information on that tomorrow either. I think it will come later on Blue Post.
Yeah.
Hopefully they listen to the community a bit too, right? Like it's not 100% decided. Maybe they.
I think so
isn't.
too, Cargos. Yeah.
But it feels to me like they are just going to announce it, basically tell what is in this Blue Post, probably give out the content phases like they did for Vanilla, and then just that's it. Maybe a beta date or a release date, maybe, but nothing else, I don't think.
Gotcha. Okay, well, I'm going to go with the spicy hot take here. I believe if I had to bet money, right, I'd put a grand on it or something, that they will do, okay, you will progress you'll be, all these servers right now, the live servers, will progress into TBC servers. You can opt out of the progression, and they'll put you on some Hall of Fame server or whatever, and they'll just plop a bunch of people there. But I also do believe, because of what they mentioned in the past polls, right, that's what I'm pointing to. Also, just because I don't know if it would cost them a lot, to do this in tandem, to spin up one PvE and one PvP classic fresh server, to give a little bit of electricity into the people that are diehard vanilla fans. Like those people do exist. I love TBC as well. And we've been playing Classic so long that I'm super down for TBC, but just like 2 servers for Classic, I actually think they're going to do it. And then for TBC, again, this might seem crazy, but I do think they're going to also have some fresh TBC servers. Call me crazy.
I hope you're right.
Double
Argos,
fresh.
Guess what, bro?
What's up?
100% agree.
Me too. Okay.
100%.
Nice.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think
And
that
they're
they
so-
are. I think that it makes
So
sense.
you guys,
because-
hold on, let me interrupt you real quick. You guys are saying that you don't want this. You actually think they're going to do it.
I think they're going to
Yes,
do it. I think they're going to do
Okay.
it.
So there's a difference between wanting it and thinking they're okay.
Yeah, because
No,
I think both me and Meltron want it as well, but I don't.
Yeah,
I
do.
understand that you guys are maybe a little more, realistic, but I think this is realistic as well. Like I honestly think that they know. Like, listen, there are people out there. Like, look at Onslaught and the people there. Like that were set out to only play Classic. Like that was their goal, And I think there are we did a poll. Remember Meltron when we were streaming?
Yeah.
It was how many people want just TBC versus how many people want to just continue playing Classic fresh versus how many people want both. There was a lot of just TBC, there was a lot of both, but there was a good amount of just Classic as well. And even if it was the minority, I think that's still enough for them to have, like you said, Cargos, at least 1 or 2 realms. So that's I think it's possible. I think it's more than possible. I think it's actually
probable.
what's going to happen. So yeah, I think it's probable.
The new hashtag spawning in the chat right now. Hashtag double fresh. Can we do some Blizzard
that would be
customer
great.
support?
If
Double
there was,
fresh.
that would be great. Yeah.
Maybe me. I'm a dreamer.
So my question is, if there are fresh TBC service cargoes, would they be locked to transfers?
Yes, I do think that, and I think that would be maybe the only thing that they would do out of their way, custom wise. I don't think they're going to do gold cap. I don't think they're going to do custom battle groups for the new fresh servers. I think they just may lock transfers for a bit, for new fresh servers.
Okay.
That's it. Like they just tell Bob over in IT, be like, "Come on, Bob, I know this sucks, man. Can you just please put this one
2
tiny
months.
feature
That's all.
in there?
Like
Just
2 months.
Yeah, we got to do this. They're tweeting at us like crazy. Hashtag double fresh. Like, our hands are kind of tied here, Bob. Like, if you could just go ahead and, put 2 months lockout period for transfers, that'd be great.
Yeah, guys, if you want it, you got to do. Don't be asinine about it. Like, go in the forums and go into Twitter and say you want double fresh, right?
Yeah.
That's the way you're going to get it to happen.
Hell yeah, man. Hashtag double fresh.
And I think locking that server is very important because, like I said earlier, if you have an influx of people coming from these other, I'm going to go on this fresh server because and bring my max level over. You're ruining the point of having that fresh server, right? There are a lot of people out there who stop playing Classic, or people who just want to play TBC and want to get that fresh experience, right? And go on a realm where that realm is the story starts there, right? On that realm. And once people are at level cap, once, I would say, depending on where the phasing goes, maybe during like that second phase, right? Where hopefully what I'm hoping that second phase would be, would basically be SSC and Tempest Keep. That would then allow the influx of the transfers to be allowed at that point.
Well, that's, to piggyback off what you're saying, it's saying they're going to roll out in phases. That is a good sign. I mean, it was kind of obvious. There's a precedent there with Classic that they're going to do it in chunks. But hopefully Blizzard is, listening to the community and might consider chopping it up into smaller. Well, let's look at Classic. Okay, let's look at Classic, chat. Think back, clear your mind, clean slate, look back at Classic. Did you like the way they did phases in Classic? What was wrong with it? What was right with it? Like, would you? What I'm leading you towards is like, would you want it to be more bite-sized chunks, or would you want bigger chunks? Or
I think what they did was perfect, except for the Phase 2 open world PvP without Battleground. Well, outside of that, I think it was fine.
I had a slightly different opinion on that, because the Phase 2 thing would be nice in theory, but it didn't work out because the realm size was too big. And in my opinion, the Phase 2 would still be nice if the realm sizes were smaller, but it wasn't like that. So, I mean, if they ever do it again, I would highly suggest them to make smaller realms and just try the world PvP again, because I really think it can work, but they need to, cut it down a little bit.
I would say, so someone just said this, and this is actually really important. Fishboy 1111 said this. The wording of this thing, just looking at the words, makes people think that SSC and Tempest Keep will be in the launch.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
Let's talk about that. Dunedin, you brought it up. Go ahead and start with that point.
Yeah, so basically, if you read the saga unfolds over time, it says in the second sentence, it says, prepare for the opening of the Black Temple, gear up to confront the gods of Suleiman, and gather your allies to face the fury of the Sunwell, which suggests to me 4 phases. And the second phase, the first is lounge and everything, and then the second phase suggests to be Black Temple. That's how it's worded, at least, because they don't make they don't put SSC in there. They don't put anything out from tier 4 in there. It immediately starts with Black Temple, and that is concerning. Yeah, and there's one. Now I've been thinking about it a little bit, and what is possible is that they just want to gather some feedback, like they did with Classic, and then change it. Again, now
I think so. But the thing that's really important here is that the way they're saying it right now is the actual way that it was brought out in PVC, right? So you had at launch, right? You had Karazhan, you had Gruul's Lair, you had Magtheridons, you had SSC and Tempest Keep all available to do behind an attunement process, right? And then about 5 to 6 months later, Black Temple came out. So this is what they're saying here is an exact copy of how the content was put out. Now, a lot of people we don't want this, right? Because we know that there are going to be a select few of the min-maxers who are going to go out and get that TK, that SSC attunement relatively quickly, and it's going to really be a detriment to Arena, as well as just the whole feel of the progress of the game. So what a lot of us are asking for, myself and I think you guys included, is to Phase 1 be only Nax, Gruul's Lair, Magtheridons. That's it.
Kara?
The next Kara. I'm sorry, did I say Nax? Yeah. I always fucking say that. The next phase then would be the release of Tempest Keep SSC. The next phase after then would be Black Temple, and so on, right?
Yeah, Suleiman, is that worth a big phase? Like, how they had ZG patch in Classic? Like, how big of a deal was ZG even really? Like, I mean, it was just like a little,
it can be minor phase, minor content addition to the game. I think
there are some good pieces.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest patch, but Suleiman is a little bit different though. Can
I first say though, Dundin, big brain bro, I love the way how you analyze this, man. It makes so much sense. I pretty much think you nailed it spot on, right? The way they do a little comma here after each section, it's looking like 4 phases, as is right now.
Yeah.
100%, bro.
So the sentence before that is also really important too. Okay,
that's true.
Add a cadence paste for the WoW Classic community, which tells me that they're going to poll us, or they're going to have an open dialogue.
Yeah, remember that there was 4 phases originally for Classic, That
Yes,
changed.
correct.
Yeah.
So what's funny? It's probably tinfoil hat theory, but it seems to me like they on purpose start with something we don't want, because let's face it, I think everyone voiced their opinion and everyone's pretty much on the same page on this. We don't want like the entirety of tier 4 and tier 5 at launch, right? So in my opinion, they just put this out, try to cause some talk about it, and then later on they can change it and they say, listen, look, we listen to the community.
I like it.
Isn't that great? Isn't that great of us? It seems to me like they are doing something like that.
They could
I hope they change it. I
Yeah.
really hope they do. There's nothing to change because they didn't put out phases yet, but that's how it seems to be.
They could be.
Yeah.
Do you think Blizzard's the type of company to do kind of big brand shit like that so they can look like the unsung hero or whatever? Or, I mean, more often than not, you feel like the redheaded stepchild of WoW, right? Like, we're the drop-down box is the way I always say it. We're like,
basically.
They did that for Classic,
know.
remember? They changed the phase announcement before the game even came out.
Mm-hmm.
So it was 4 to 6 before launch.
Mhm.
So they didn't use any data. They just that had to have been coming from somewhere, right? Why would they change 4 to 6 before?
There was a lot
of
of content creators that were pushing it. I remember, like, as fan was
they
talking
were
about.
actually looking at the community, right? So they were actually
yeah.
oh, what's the over-under of us graduating out of the drop-down box, though? Do you guys think we're going to have our own section on the Battle.net launcher?
Ooh.
Do you think
I
we're
don't
going to have
know,
to
man.
go to WoW Shadowlands and then hit the little box and then scroll down and go, WoW
I
Classic?
think what
No.
they should do
WoW
is have
TBC?
a,
Yes.
a classic option that has a drop-down box for TBC, for Classic,
That's
right?
what I'm saying,
So
man.
they should just have one that says Classic, World of Warcraft, then the drop-down box, you can pick which server you want to be on, right?
Well, the thing is, like, once you hit it once, it's my launcher always loads Classic, right?
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
yeah.
It does, but
So I
if you were to go to Battle.net, though, like, it still shows the Shadowlands, like, news and shit, right? And it like...
True.
I don't know. Anyway, it's just a funny little thing, but it makes you feel like we're just this little niche community. Maybe we are, but with TBC coming out, it could be bigger than Shadowlands, so maybe we get our own spot on the Battle.net launcher.
Never know.
You never know.
You
So
never
let's
know.
read the rest of this blue
Yeah,
post.
let's go from the top, man. I want to savor it.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
yeah.
can. Go,
Yeah.
read the top paragraph too, man, if you can. This one right here.
Okay, yeah. Journey through the Dark Portal once again in World of Warcraft Burning Crusade Classic. Originally released in January 2007, the Burning Crusade summoned the heroes of Azeroth to the shattered and fell-scarred realm of Outland to stop an invasion of the demonic Burning Legion. In 2021, Blizzard Entertainment's recreation of the first World of Warcraft expansion will give players from around the world a chance to return to Outland as it once was, to relive an era of timeless adventure or experience what awaits beyond the Dark Portal for the first
Okay, a
time.
little bit of nugget there. I mean, that is just a cool ass paragraph. It gets me hype. But as it once was, does suggest no changes and no crazy customization. You know, I was always fantasizing about the idea of them maybe, turning the dial up on difficulty and going, you are not prepared for real. Even if you played these sweaty private servers, like, you are actually not prepared because we've added a randomization to the bosses or something to make it harder. It doesn't look like that'll happen though.
Yeah, so it doesn't. But again, it's hard to. Coming from the whole developer standpoint, we talked to a lot of developers. So how the last iteration, last patch represents not only just class balancing, but a lot of other things too. And in my opinion, I know Judadane will totally not agree with this, and that's fine. I think there's a lot of good points in the 1.1 argument he had for Classic, but there's a lot of things they went back on. There's a lot of things they shifted and changed like multiple times. And in my opinion, from a developer's standpoint, releasing a game prior to the final patch is an incomplete version of the game. And that's not saying that I agree with that. I'm saying from a developer standpoint, I think that's how I look at it.
I think there's some ways to go around that, though, right? Like looking at maybe gear, right, and seeing how, like, look at Karazhan, for example.
That's not what I meant. Yeah, but yeah.
Right, I'm just saying, like, I think there is a way to still try and get that difficulty by, not necessarily messing with talents, but actually, like, going back and saying, okay, the gear that originally dropped from Kara was not as good as it was later, right? So maybe, like, still having that retroactive gear and then progressing as the time goes on, like they did on private servers.
I was more talking about class spells, abilities, class balance.
No, I'm just saying, what if instead, right, they would do something like that to make the difficulty a little bit.
Now, the thing is, in TBC there have been changes, especially to things like Circle of Healing and stuff. But it's nowhere near as big as it was in Classic. In Classic, you had content patches that back in the day that were basically called like, this is the Warrior patch, or this is the Paladin patch, or whatever. So from a nostalgic point of view, to me personally, it made sense if we had those things again. Like in this patch, Warriors get their updates, and in the next phase, Paladins will get their updates. And in TBC, it's a little bit different. So I wouldn't. For TBC, I'm totally fine actually if they go with the latest patch. But the same issues will arise, and that is that the content is going to be slightly easier in the beginning. And we saw in Classic that it was pretty detrimental to the, in my opinion at least, to the end game rating. Because it's only from Nax on that, honestly, it became really fun to do, right? In Nax, I really had a blast, and I still have, and I still like it. And AQ, I mean, after one time or two times, I'd seen it. It's not fun. It's boring. It's easy. So I hope they don't make that same mistake. And I think the mistake is less big in TBC because everything is slightly more interesting, and there weren't as much changes on the balance. Things changed less severe, let's say.
They changed a lot in the raids, though. A lot of content in the raids was
the buffed content. Yeah, it's kind of important in my opinion. They bring out everything in its unnerved state.
Unnerved,
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but not broken, right? Because there was
broken,
Because there was some
maybe
points where
fun.
they say Kael Thos was like unkillable, and there was an issue with certain fights. I remember when Hydra first came out, there was a lot of bugs.
Well, we don't need that. We don't need bugs.
Right.
Back.
So that's the important thing to make that difference is like we're not talking about like bring all the bugs and like all that, but the content, especially now, knowing that people are a lot more knowledgeable. But the one thing is that I do think like a lot of people did play on TBC private servers, myself included. But I do still think there's a little bit more unknown of TBC than there was Classic, right?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, I think so too. And that's going to be already a huge difference in itself. Yeah. It's less theory crafted. People will min-max on the spots rather than before the game is launched.
I'm just writing down random miscellaneous stuff that's coming to mind in like a big notepad. So if they're building this as it once was, also that's kind of the dream is dead, guys, for maybe racials being added to the alliance, or finding a way to try to balance out either some of the paladin racials.
You think?
Right. I mean, just saying as it once was is suggestive of all that, right? So there's one thing. The other thing I want to throw out there is if any monster brain in the chat wants to start a rolling list as well, I have one going right now, but of stuff that's up in the air, that's like Blizzard's call, that they could go. Like, they have the ability to stay within the realm of no changes and make a decision on a bunch of different things, right? Things that come to mind: heroic dungeon difficulty, for the key. At the start, is it heroic? Is it revered? Is the BG gear, or is that early blue PvP set going to be there? How is the S1 gear going to look? The NG stuff, as the goggles, are the goggles going to be there on launch? Are they going to be upgradable? This might just be the tip of the iceberg. There might be a ton of stuff.
Drums and Bloodlust and all that stuff, but... honestly, I don't expect any answers tomorrow or this weekend on those questions. And if we get answers, it will be in blue posts or once the game is launched eventually. I don't honestly. I think they will just not say anything about it and just launch it the way it was.
I think so. If they allow somehow kind of virtual back and forth, I don't know how they would even do that. Usually they field questions, right? At Real BlizzCon when we were there. These questions will definitely be asked, I think, Cargos, and you're going to get we haven't decided yet. We're going to talk to you about it, community, blah, blah. The standard pandering kind of, we'll get to it when we get to it kind of thing. Like, I agree with June today. We're not going to know anything tomorrow.
They're going to gauge the community's response.
All we're going to know is that the game's going to be released, and they may give us, like, a beta date or something. That's it.
You know what? The best case scenario is tomorrow. You know what I'm hoping for.
Playable demo of TBC.
Call me crazy. Not only that. Yes. Like, what if tomorrow, like literally tomorrow, guys, what if tomorrow during BlizzCon They make the announcement and they go, you guys can play TBC right now, like demo. You can start leveling a Blood Elf Draenei right now. We have it as a special event.
They might.
And then also, super hot fire new TBC classic trailer. Like, it doesn't have to be, you know, with the CGI and all that, but even just one of those chromey joints would do. You know, that would get my fix. I would get my fix if we saw one of the backwards chromies with the TBC. I mean, a nice trailer for TBC Classic. Come on, that would be amazing. You know, when they announce it.
How awesome would it be for that? And then they allow people to make instant 70s and do arena skirmishes and stuff like that.
Oh, that's a stretch. I wish, man, an arena.
That would be fucking awesome. That would be so cool. That's a big stretch, but I honestly was thinking about this, Cargos, and I think it is in the realm of possibility of them saying, and you know, once we announce it, blah blah blah, and here now after this, you know, whatever, you can play, you know, a TBC demo that we have ready for you guys. And have it, you know, I mean, they have done stuff like that before, right? Where they don't announce beforehand, have a demo ready, maybe for a couple days that people can play. I think it's possible, you know, just for people to try out maybe the starting zones, maybe just Blood Elf and Draenei or something like that. But it's
how did they do it in the
past?
They did it right. So during one of the BlizzCons, I forgot, 2017 was it or 2018? We were able to play a demo. Did they announce that ahead of time? Does anybody remember? Does anybody have an?
They did. Yes, they did announce it ahead of time because you could buy a BlizzCon online to get access to that demo. But they did it for a Hearthstone game. It's different, but it's happened before. They announced an expansion and it immediately launched like the day after BlizzCon.
I see.
However,
so if there was a demo, it would be a paid thing likely, and because it wasn't announced in the BlizzCon package thing that you can buy, it's probably not going to happen.
But remember what they did last year for Diablo 4?
Yeah, what did they do?
That was a free demo that wasn't announced.
Yeah, but that's for people there at the convention center. I'm saying for
now there's no one there, so it's possible actually.
Right, so I'm saying that the fact that there's going to be no one there, maybe they'll have a free small demo for everyone to do for TBC.
Sure.
That being said, though, if it's like a beta or a demo where you can level from 60 to, let's say, 62, would you actually do that?
I think if they do a demo, it's probably going to be like Draenei and Blood Elf.
Yeah, like Ghost
even
and
then,
all that.
Would you want to do that?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Do some duel tournaments. Like back in the day, remember Server 37, man? Back in the demo, doing like little funky duel tournaments. Like
maybe the low level things, yes, but I wouldn't want to level in Hellfire Peninsula. I would want to save that for actual launch.
True. But is there any chance at all, 1%, 2%, 0.5%, that tomorrow they announce, TBC's coming, pre-patch starts this week, and you're literally able to level like Blood Elves and Draenei up to 60, we're refunding your talents, and and you can't go through the portal.
Arguments about this shit, dude. Everyone, I got people messaging me on Discord. They're like, I think Blizzard will allow Blood Elves and Draenei to level on the pre-patch. I think if there's a pre-patch, you know, Cargos, like it could be coming soon, but I think the pre-patch is going to be coming probably in a couple months or whatever, right? Where all the pre-patch is going to be is the new talents, you know, that kind of shit, right? But as far as jewel crafting, as far as Blood Elves, as far as Draenei, if they do that in the pre-patch, like that is legitimately part of the Burning Crusade. You know
True,
what I mean?
but back in the day they did that because you had to buy the game, right? You had to spend $50 for a game. This is the same like fee that they're going to get, $15 a month. Doesn't look like you're going to have to pay for it or anything, you know. So
it would be smart, honestly. Sorry, Defcom, go on. I will.
I'm just saying. I think like, you know, and I heard this argument as well, is that like, oh well, if you allow people to level now, then it'll stop the influx of people in the starting zone. But then you have to worry about, then you have even more people at the level 60 Hellfire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's not that good either. Like seeing how Blizz make decisions and what Blizz does, I don't see this in the, like, I know some of the shit that I did say, that I saw in the realm of possibility, like, you know, might not be that possible. Maybe it's more of my wishful thinking, but like looking at Blizzard's decisions in the past,
you don't think so?
Them allowing Blood Elves and Draenei to be leveled before the TBC launch, do not think it's going to happen.
It doesn't really. It wouldn't be smart for what Defcom said. If you allow that, then there's even more people at the gates of like the Dark Portal, and that's like the bottleneck, right? So if you can spread that a little bit, that would be the wise decision. If they decide to make you level beforehand, I wouldn't understand that at all. I mean,
so
it'd be nice for some people, but it's just
it
not
would
hard
be
for them.
nice, right? It would be nice for people, but I'm not saying like my basis is because I'm saying like, oh, I don't want people to go level their paladins. It has nothing to do with that at all. It's just looking at what Blizzard I think would do, and I don't think they would do that.
If they are 100% sure their servers can handle the Dark Portal, then maybe. But we saw how Classic launched, and we saw how much lag there was.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my god.
I don't think it's gonna.
Yeah. So that's one thing I do hope. Like we can talk about this. I do want to read this paragraph because it did give me the feels a little bit. So
Okay.
Where it says to rediscover the broken world of Outland, flee the Fell Reavers who roam Hellfire Peninsula. Dude, how many fucking times you die to those motherfuckers? Die beneath the swamps of Zanger Marsh. Zanger Marsh, I love the fucking feels of that place. To confront what lurks below and clash with the demonic agents of the Burning Legion in the shadow of the Black Temple.
Yeah, it's well written, man. Just to piggyback off that, this world is beautiful, guys. It's something that I've been just playing a little bit on some of the private servers, just kind of re-experiencing it. And I'm not usually the type of dude who loves the space theme that much. I like the old world kind of more realistic kind of zones in a sense, as opposed to the demonic fell energy type zones. But Outlands will blow you away. I'm telling you, it's a beautiful world. They crafted it with the same love and attention to detail they did with vanilla. I'm telling you, there's really no sacrifice in quality in my mind. It's just a little bit of a different style. So I'm super excited. All the dungeons, the music. I don't know if you're listening to this Hellfire Peninsula score in the background, man. It slaps your mother in the face.
Good.
Honor Hold, fucking, oh my god.
Yeah.
So like one thing about Outlands is I love the Outland zones. I think they have. I mean, I love a lot of the vanilla zones as well. Like they're, winter, spring is like one of my favorite zones. I love a lot of the Wrath zones as well. But there's something about TBC zones where they have that level, the feel, like the overall feel that you get from the music, from what's going on, and each zone is beautiful in its own way. Like Zanger Marsh is this deep purplish, color, and the mushrooms and the feel there, It's so different from the dark, the pile of bones on the fucking hell and the what is it, the path of death? What the fuck is it called again? I forget.
Terrorcore. You mean Terrorcore Forest?
He's talking about the
Hellfire?
path of the bones leading up to Hellfire Citadel.
Yeah.
So you have like such a contrast from Hellfire to Zanger Marsh to Terrorcore Forest to Nagrand to Blade's Edge. It's like,
It really might be interesting when TBC comes, as you take your first steps through the Dark Portal as well, to really try to like almost fucking roleplay as a person from 2007 who, if you've only played the class, like it was the most shocking expansion by a country mile, just because you're going from this old world to this space-themed, insane-looking place. It's completely different color palette and everything. The most shocking expansion, right? Like, Wrath was a beautiful expansion as well. The zones are really well done. We've been talking a lot about that on stream recently. The music, the zones, the dungeons, the raids. But that shock value is probably not as much there as it was with Classic moving into TBC.
It's still the same planet, right? It's still Azeroth, even though it's a new continent. So I know exactly what you're saying, Cargos.
Yeah.
So dark too. Like I feel like TBC was the darkest expansion. Wrath was dark, but it was, I don't know. I feel like TBC was darker, right? Because of
there's only like one or two, like Zuldrak and Ice Crown are the only dark zones, really, right?
Right, and I mean dark in terms of like story and the whole ambiance as well. But I feel like the amount of death and destruction that you see on Outland, and then you realize, like, the fucking bones, in the Path of Glory. And thank you for Fetty, Path of Glory. The amount of just fucking death and destruction that is on Outland is amazing. Is fucking, it's crazy, right? And then you look at zones like Netherstorm, and so like the thing that I always loved the other zones first. Like the other zones more like the lush zones like Nagrand, and Terrorcore, but there is something really interesting about like Netherstorm and
Shadow Moon
Valley, is that like you can see Shadow Moon Valley, just like the level of corruption that had gone on there, and the death and everything that caused it like that. And Netherstorm, when you look at it and you notice like the little pockets of the jungles, and on the ley lines and everything like that, and you look up and you see, floating up on the eye, right, where you see the dungeons up there for the Tempest Keep. It is so fucking cool. It really is, and I never
My question is,
liked them that much back in the day, but like those two zones have grown on me so much.
Same
Shadow
here.
Moon and
what was in Netherstorm before it became all like that? You know how in Warlords of Draenor they like you went back into Outland, but it was kind of the zones before they got all messed up or whatever. What the hell was Netherstorm? I wonder. Was it still just the space age area? Somebody in the chat will probably know. Anyway, though, another question I had was, let's say they do announce this tomorrow. How much time does Blizzard have in their mind before they, before release, before they lose that hype, right? Before it starts to be too long? Because if games wait too long to release, the hype will go up and it'll go down, and it may not recover up to where it once was. Where I'm going, chat, is assuming they announce this tomorrow, what's your prediction on when it actually comes out?
The live game for everyone, or the beta, or both?
Let's say live game for everybody. The beta is just whatever, man. Just think about how long it's going to be.
I'd say, let's say we're in February. I think May.
I was gonna say August, maybe. Is that
I kind of believe the leaks, so it gets May.
So you think we can wait a couple months without anything, and people will still be hyped for it?
The thing is, you will first have pre-patch, so it's almost March. It's basically announced a week before March. So if we have pre-patch halfway April, we have 1.5 months of Nax, and then pre-patch, and then it will launch probably middle of May.
Do you think it's going to depend on what's going on in Shadowlands at all, or do you think they're going to just?
No, I don't think so. No, because they basically released Shadowlands at the same time as Nax, so they don't really care.
Yeah. Yeah, for me that was a pretty big I think we lost a lot of people in Nax because of that as well. A lot of people just wanted to go play Shadowlands, and I do think they should probably because there is a lot of crossover that I've noticed, especially when a new expansion comes out. Right, a lot of people just want to try the new expansion. So I don't know. I think maybe potentially doing it in a lull in Shadowlands wouldn't be a bad idea. But yeah, August for me, I thought August. I'm like, that does seem kind of late. That's like the latest I would believe. But May is what? How many months from now is May?
Well, March, April, May. So it's 2.5 months,
right?
Didn't we reach a point with Classic where we felt like the hype was almost going down for a bit? Like where everyone was wondering. Remember you guys, a lot of you guys in the chat were there. We were wondering like, yo, when they said it's going to be summer, man. It's already like summer. Right? It's getting towards the end of summer already. Like, are they really going to release it now? And people were getting frustrated. It almost felt like the hype dipped a little bit. So looking at Classic as a precedent, like maybe they shouldn't wait too long. Maybe
they shouldn't, because you can't expect people. I think people who play Classic for the most part. You can't expect people to raid Nax for another 4 months. That's crazy, right? 5 months.
Yeah,
that's insane.
I mean, that's like when other expansions, right? The last raid tier is out for a long time, like 8 months.
Yeah, but those are newly developed games.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Right?
I agree.
The game that's already been made. Like, there's no reason it should take that long to release, right?
Yeah.
Like. So that's my point. Like, yes, if it's a new game, like literally like Shadowlands or a next expansion, yeah, okay, it's going to take them a long time to develop. All they're doing is retroporting, right? So it's I don't think it's going to be. And then they did it with Classic. A lot of that hard work has been done. Mm-hmm. In fact, they had all the TBC data. They didn't have the vanilla data. They had to piecemeal a lot of that together. This should be a pretty quick turnaround, in my opinion. Yeah.
So, okay, let's say they announce it tomorrow, and then you're saying it's May, so that's what, 4 months from now or so, or was it 4 months?
March, it's only 3, right?
Okay. 2.5 months. Yeah.
So that means beta soon.
Well, so how long is how long was the lifespan of Classic, right? Because the lifespan will end right as soon as it moves into TBC. That might give us a prediction towards how long the TBC lifespan. They're talking about this cadence. Maybe we could expect 2.5 years at that point of TBC.
So if we're going by like any assumption of like how the expansions worked back in the day, like Classic will have been out less than 2 years, whereas Vanilla WoW was out for what, like almost 3, I think.
2 and a bit. Not
at least 2.5, right? It was definitely at least 2.5. And TBC was, if I'm not mistaken, the shortest expansion.
It was out for less than 2 years. It was out from 2007 to 2008.
It was the shortest, indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But it entirely depends on what they do with the phases again. So if they indeed decide to do tier 4 and tier 5 together, then obviously we lose a couple of months of actual gameplay, which is
so Classic hasn't been out for 2 years yet. Classic hasn't been out for 2 years. Sorry, my bad. I thought it was for some reason out for longer than 2 years.
It would be 2 years in August.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be
2 years.
surprised if we get Classic Wrath next winter.
Wow.
Not this winter coming up, the winter after it.
I can see
that's
that.
possible, yeah.
So 2 years from now, basically.
Frozen motif.
Yeah, it's a year and a half from now.
Yeah. No, it's 2 years.
Sorry, a year and a half from the launch of TBC. Sorry. If TBC comes out in May, you'll see Wrath the following winter, the winter of 2022.
I think that's good.
I think Wrath would come out.
Yeah,
So,
that would suit the team as well. It's like cold. Venture to the northern.
Yeah.
What's it called?
TBC out for about a year and a half. I think that sounds right. Yeah. I really want to I don't like the idea of like rushing stuff, but I also think that the timelines in Classic, like people are downloading the content much quicker than they would have been, right? So it's okay to go a little bit faster. I think a little bit faster, but I think a year and a half for TBC would be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too.
Gotcha.
You guys want to read the rest of that?
Oh yeah, we'll go back to it. Also keep typing stuff in the chat, guys, of stuff that are still we don't have answers for that we're looking for answers for in the future, like stuff that's gray area, right? Like another thing that comes to mind looking at this blue post is when the PvP seasons are going to come out, how they're going to do, the interaction between fresh TBC and anyway. Let's keep we can keep going.
I'll
highlight it. We stopped right. Join the fight.
Anybody else want to read it, or I can go?
Yeah, I'll read the next one. Join the fight as a Blood Elf or a Draenei. Everyone gets pissed off how I say it. I say Draenei, it's Draenei. The ranks of the Horde and the Alliance grow. Fight for the Horde as Blood Elves seeking a new source of arcane power that once sustained them, or join the Alliance as the Draenei, exiled from Outland in search of a new home.
I don't know if the ranks of the Alliance are going to grow much, though. I think the Horde.
You got some dudes that like to look at Draenei asses,
Yeah, I mean, you play the female, right? I think everyone who picks these two races, regardless of your gender in real life, will pick female, right? I think that's usually how it goes.
I think a male Draenei paladin looks pretty cool.
Of course, you think that.
I like. Here's the thing about I love the Blood Elf. I love everything. I love the lore. I love the leveling in the Blood Elf zones is amazing. I love it. I love the music. However, playing a male Blood Elf, I like playing a male Blood Elf. I mean, I hate their laugh. I hate their jump. But I don't know. I feel like I'd rather I kind of like how they look in armor in a way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I hate their pompous, they remind me of the British and the Revolutionary War, you know what I mean, very pompous. Yeah.
Sorry, all you English people that's in the chat.
Well, here's my question.
Now, not British people now, British people back. I mean, yeah, people like that. The pompous.
The most likely scenario is Blizzard does not a damn thing to address faction imbalance, right? That is the most likely. They're probably not going to go out of their way to try to fix it or rectify the situation. They just probably don't want to poke a whatever that expression is. You don't want to poke an angry bear or something, right? They're just kind of leaving it as is. What do you guys think is going to happen if nothing is done at all to address faction balance and things just move into TBC? These servers move into TBC, and there's a couple freshes.
It's going to be a lot of fucking Blood Elves, bro. So Melderon and I were streaming the other night, and I pulled up now this is all based off of Warcraft logs, right? We pulled up all the realms, and as of recently, and then, like I said, this is all based on Warcraft logs. The number of people playing Horde versus Alliance in everything, like I'm talking NA, US, PvP, PvE was literally, I think it was 52% Horde to 48% Alliance. I thought it was gonna be worse than that.
That's insanely good. That's insanely balanced. What?
That's just Raiders, but still.
Like I said, that's just Raiders. That's from, but that's a pretty good, view of the populace. like there are servers that are, like Skyrim for the Alliance, like 98% Alliance, 2% Horde, 100% Alliance, stuff like that. And however, I do think that is going to get bigger in TBC. I think it's going to probably go somewhere from like 60% Horde to 40% Alliance. But in all honesty, I don't think that is like too horrible regarding, like how everything is right now.
Can I interrupt you real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep. So just in case anybody was wondering, it's a pretty epic day. We got this announcement, and the NASA rover Perseverance just landed on Mars. By the way,
What?
Sure.
We made it to the moon.
Yeah.
Are your names on it? Or not?
No.
Oh, mine is.
On the rover?
Actually, little known
Yeah,
fact,
yeah.
Melderon made that
My name
rover
is on.
in his backyard.
Yeah, I did. I made it.
You could put your name on it, didn't you know?
So this, this is a pretty epic day, I have to say.
I put my name on it.
I'm embarrassed to say I'm very embarrassed to say I didn't even know that was going on, bro. I literally am just a gamer husk at this
all right,
point.
brother.
That's
You
really cool, though.
know what really matters in life, right? It's WoW
Yeah.
and
Mars rovers.
hell yeah, we made it to the moon, baby.
But
Yeah, dude.
that's okay.
We're
So
actually
that's
going to a new planet too tomorrow. So, I mean, well, not yet, but
that's pretty insane. So just to reiterate, 52% Horde, 48% Alliance on the servers as a whole. I guess that's just Raiders, like you said.
like I said, that's just Raiders. However, I think it's a pretty fair look at everything.
Good sample size.
So maybe it's not going to be maybe it's not going to be as bad as I was thinking, right, guys? Because a lot of people, most people, are going to want to progress their characters as opposed to start a new one and level all over again, right? So if the faction balance is truly kind of by some miracle even right now, maybe they don't have to do anything about it, and maybe a fresh TBC server would have worse faction balance than these established servers that are progressing in, right? And also worse class balance. So if there's a totally fresh TBC server, right? PvP fresh TBC server tomorrow. Shout out to Endless too. Anyway, if it starts, you might see a way more Horde and also like way less warriors and the human warriors and stuff like that, right?
So paladins and shamans, yeah.
Like
True, but
That's a really good point, Cargos. I think that that's something that maybe they are considering. Like, if we want to maintain some type of faction balance, fresh servers would skew that terribly, I think.
maybe, yeah.
except if they do faction queues and everything's solved. Like, I mean, you can still do that. Right?
True.
Well, not everything. The faction balance is solved, not the class balance per se. But you mentioned worldwide data, but you also say you have full Horde and full Alliance servers, so there's still something wrong. I mean,
Exactly.
if it's well balanced worldwide, then it shouldn't be too much of a problem to make servers that are around that 50-50 balance.
That's what I was saying, dude, Dane, but and listen, I know there's a lot of problems when you merge servers, right? When it comes to guilds, like, so the population on the servers, like, again, this is just the Raiders, right? So it's obviously bigger. For Skyrim, it was around, I think, 2,500 Horde. So you could probably, I don't know, maybe double that to be on the safe side. So even if you were to say merge like two servers, I mean, it would be a really big server, right? But then, like, I don't know. And listen, like, one of my main concerns is, I'm joking, but Hala, right? So Hala, how the hell am I going to get my Silver War Talbuck if there's no alliance, right? Think about it.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
like, we need to have, something going on
So
here.
definitely, if you get his Civil War Talbook, we have to have.
Bro,
Yeah.
nobody rides that mount, bro.
I love that fucking
Talbuck
mount.
sucks, bro. I remember getting that back in the day, man. Getting the ogre beads, man. Turning those in. That's the worst mount, man. Let's be
Silver War
honest.
Talbuck is the shit. Okay?
No
I
way,
think
bro.
I think you're right. Actually, that many people will not reroll factions. I think many people stay with the guild they have now and just stay on the faction they have. And if
I
they
don't know
start,
about that.
you don't think so? I think the majority definitely will not
Like
reroll.
90% of guilds have fallen apart.
That's true. But
You know what I
don't you
mean?
think people will just want to progress their character and stay together with the friends
that
they
is
have?
So stay with what they have. Yes, the money they've accumulated, the class, they're all that they're leveling. Yes, I do agree that.
But also social connections they made, I think. Even if a
Yeah.
guild fell apart, you still have like 5-10 friends. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just don't agree that it's because of guilds. That's all. Yeah,
Probably. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
because we are in a situation with
Exactly.
guilds.
right. I think we're a little biased. Yeah.
But I think this all comes down to is that I don't think the faction queue is going to be as bad as people think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a problem. I'm not saying that it's not.
Well, there is no faction queue necessarily right now, but you're saying if they put one in.
I'm sorry, I meant faction imbalance.
Faction imbalance, okay.
Imbalance. I don't think it's going to be as much as a problem. Just like the whole thing about people being worried about how much gold is going to be brought into TBC. I don't think that is.
Oh, come on. That's going to be a problem, bro. The gold?
Now
Dude,
here's my reason.
Look at the
right?
GDKP runs and stuff, bro. How much gold is out there? The vendors don't stand a chance, bro.
Listen, honestly, Cargos, someone who was totally against like the WoW token, I've been thinking about it like more, right? Because listen, I know that there is way too much gold out there, but like what's going to happen is even if we limit the amount of gold going into TBC, people are going to get restocked on gold fucking really fucking quick again. That's my point, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't think like the blocking the amount of gold that going into TBC is going to be a fix for anything. I am against the WoW token. Let me just say that. However, when it comes to how much gold can be bought right now by fucking players for so cheap, like what else could we do to combat that?
I know what to do. I literally know what to do.
Tell me, baby.
I actually know what to do. I have the answer to you, Defcam.
Bring it.
You want to know what it is? You want to guess what it is?
Dual spec and make it really costly.
No. Blizzard would just have to do one thing. They wouldn't have to code a damn thing. They'd have to change a paragraph of text.
What?
All they would have to do is they would say, if you are caught buying gold or anything, your account and everything associated with your account across all Blizzard titles is permabanned forever. There's no appeal. You're done, son.
They have to. The problem is they have to follow through with
right,
that.
But even the threat of that, I'm telling you, will cut 50%. I don't know. I'm shooting from the hip here, but I think there's a lot of people that are on that fence where they're like, there's literally no consequence to me buying just fat stacks of gold right now. The worst thing that can happen is I get a little slappity on the wrist, from Blizzard. Uncle Blizzard bans me for like a week or 24 hours or gives me a little warning, shoots me an email. If it was that dramatic of a consequence, everyone's Hearthstone's cards that they've accumulated over the last decade, everything. If they said, if you are caught buying gold, you are done forever, no appeal, see you later. I think 50% of people maybe would stop buying gold. Honestly.
I think that's true. And even more if they just do one wave of like banning and then don't do anything anymore.
I think that might be a little extreme, and I think
I'm reading the chat. People are like, give him the fucking death sentence.
So I think what you could do, Cargos, is do like a ban for a year of any Blizzard products or 6 months.
Okay,
that would be. Okay. I think that's like huge. That's a big enough risk, right? Where people won't buy.
What's wrong with just permaban? Just permaban it, man. I mean, you're saying.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with it personally. I just think from a business standpoint, no.
Oh.
I don't think there's anything wrong with banning you forever. Like, I agree with you. It's fucked up. You shouldn't do it. But at the same time, I think they would lose money on that. That's all I'm saying. Like, from a business standpoint, it doesn't sound like a sound venture.
From a business standpoint, sure. I'm just saying it would. People are kind of scared right now thinking about it, right? Like, it's like, if they did that, I mean, look at the private servers, bro. A lot of the private servers, yes, there still was gold selling and stuff like that, but RMT was a one and done type thing. And there are many people, like streamers, people who are like known in the community. I'm not going to shout out names, right? But all of a sudden, raid leader of a whole guild, permaban forever, for RMT on the private servers. Yeah, like on Light Soap and Northdale,
right.
And all these types of things. RMT was literally permaban. And they could make another character. They get boosted up in like a day or something, But that would.
But it's very easy to do when you run a non-profit organization,
right? And private servers were very. I mean, we all know that there was a lot of inside trading on certain private servers and this, that, and the other.
Well, they received donations. There's nothing. So,
no. Like they would hold, like the gold sellers would hold the servers.
Yes, that would happen a lot. Yes, that would happen a lot.
To come back on Defcam's point, I see why you say. Tokens would be a good idea.
Yeah, tell me why, listen, everything about the token just gives right because it's like the new thing, but like tell me why we can't have a WoW token because like I want to be fucking like
persuaded not to have
persuaded back over, but like every time I look at him, like it honestly I think is the only option.
No,
Like,
no. You just permanent gold.
Let me
gold
make a
selling.
case. So, why is it positive to have a WoW token? Because technically it doesn't add gold to the game, right? It's just you can buy it,
Right.
but it's gold from someone else, and it will lower the total amount of gold in the end, because you won't have those butters and you won't have those high influxes of gold, basically. So, in that sense, it's a good thing to have it. On the other hand, it shouts wrong to me because it's not the right cure, and you can, let's say it's something totally different. Let's say global warming. We just keep like putting what's it called? Gases, gases into the atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
And it keeps warming up, and we don't care because the cure, because the cure could be, we can just put mirrors in space and it will reflect sunlight, and it's all fine. We just keep going and put more, pollution in the atmosphere. So that's not a good solution. It helps, yes, it helps, but
I see the WoW token more like an electric car than it is.
I don't know. It seems like a solution because they don't care to actually
electric
fix
cars run
the
on
real problem.
On electricity that's made from fossil fuels.
I know exactly. That's another point too, which is like there's still the issue there. It's so, but what I'm saying is like that we know that from retail that the WoW token is effective at reducing the number of bots, reducing the amount of fucking. It is.
People make
Here it is. Here it is. Philosophically,
I know there is, but it's been like. Do you remember what it was like before the WoW token was
Philosophically, this is a Diablo term that I learned from the Diablo community. Okay, they have a term called buying power. Like, you never create a game where you can buy power. It's like the worst thing ever. So it's basically pay to win, right? Like, if you create a game where you can, with money, buy power, as opposed to a cosmetic and you can look like a fairy sprite darter, person like that. That's a cosmetic, right? I'm saying if you can buy power, like if you're allowing that philosophically of your game, like it damages it in some way, right? Where there is some authorized way, even if it doesn't change much, right? Even if people are going to buy gold anyway from an outside party, the fact that you allow it, I feel like it does something to the game, right? And it's no secret, if you played WoW for a while, every iteration of the game, you can buy power with gold, 100%. Whether it's literally just manually paying for a carry, paying for a boost, you could probably even get Gladiator with enough gold, They'd probably want to purchase that sell that service for money, right? But if you had enough gold, then you could still probably get there. So, I don't know. That would be my first response to you, right?
But here's the thing. I don't disagree with you, though, Cargos. Like, that's the thing is I still, at the end of the day, it still fixes a big problem that we have, right?
So, here's the thing. The WoW token already exists, right? It just isn't officially a Blizzard product. Because you can buy a shit ton of gold right now in Classic and GDP your way to greatness, right?
Right, but there's a chance that you get caught. There's a chance that it's ruined. Yes.
Really?
I know people who have gotten caught.
Yeah, slap on the wrist.
Or people, but what percentage of those people are the actual people who buy?
Well, here's the thing. Not only is that, but we have a negative outcome with the bots, right? Like that's the biggest.
It's all the same thing.
Okay,
it all drives together.
Put your literally think about being someone who pays hundreds of thousands of gold for purple pixels, right? Like, okay, think about that person. They go to wowvendor.com or whatever it is, right? And they buy to 100k gold. Those people care about the purple pixels. They want to have an account that looks awesome, that they can cherish, right? So those same people are going to be shook to the core if they get perma-banned, if you get caught.
Here's the other thing though, Cargos. These people are also people who just can't afford their consumes every week, that end up buying gold because they don't have the time to farm for Nax. Right, and they just want to be able to fucking.
Well, that won't be more. That won't be the same thing in TBC though. The consumables would be a bit cheaper, right? It's not going to be as.
But I mean, you're still going to have people you're going to have all the bots controlling all the fucking leather, all the fucking cliff-top leather, basically, and gold farmers controlling it on each server. And there's only a certain amount per server, so you're going to have a lot of issues there. I don't know. I just see I understand what you guys are saying, and I trust me, I don't think it's the best thing ever, but I just don't see another option.
The point I made was agreeing with you, Def Cam. I wasn't arguing with you.
Right.
I said the WoW token already exists, right?
Right.
It's just run by a black market organization or organizations.
Right.
But
So
Blizzard
why
can
not-
at least say
The game is what I'm saying.
Blizzard could
right?
at least say we don't allow gold selling, as opposed to the WoW token. They're like, no, we allow gold selling. We actually just we just control it. We just do it in house. We literally just sell the gold ourselves. So we don't have to use
That's
any of
worse,
these, support any of these corrupted
they
third
became the
parties.
mafia, basically.
Yeah, they become the mafia. They're running. They're literally selling power in house. Like there is a real line of play with the WoW token where you could say so your game is literally you can buy power in your game. It's no secret if you get a little bit creative. But here's the thing: real life is pay to win. Right now, if you have enough money, you throw enough money at something. So actually, it's kind of more immersive in your game.
But I think people want to play WoW because they want to escape that, right? They don't want to live in a world where their wallet determines what they can access.
Yep.
Right.
So what you do is you add like 2-factor to or something maybe to the account, so it's harder to keep creating accounts over and over again for people, like for botting accounts. People still find a way to do it, and you say if you were caught, you were literally permabanned forever. I'm telling you, maybe 50% of gold buying would go away. I'm just shooting from the hip here, but I think it would.
No,
be
I
that
think
extreme.
it would reduce 100%. I agree with you. I just don't think.
Yeah, I think it will as well, but I don't think it's going to stop the issue. Honestly, it's still going to be a big issue. I don't think
you're gonna have to buy gold in good conscience, right? And be like, I'm buying this gold so that my character and account becomes cooler and stronger, and this is something that I value highly. But if I get caught, I'm done forever.
Yeah.
So that's no longer worth it in my mind.
I think a lot of people would say, well, Blizzard's never going to catch. I don't know. Maybe that have an effect, but I still think that
people lose their account 100%, it would.
I don't think it would be 50% though. Yeah.
I think it would be more.
Well, who's the guy who's
you?
literally going to risk it for the biscuit, though? They're like, yeah, it's worth it, man. Get this one
Well, I just had
item.
someone in the chat saying before is like, I'm not going to say it, but he said, I bought gold purely to fund raiding, never spent a copper in a GDKP. None of these things solve the issue that people are taking tons of gold into BC. So basically, like, there are a lot of people who literally, just buy gold to get, through raids, and that's something that, you could argue that, the rate. I don't know. You can make a lot of arguments about that.
But there's a point of arguing. I think we should move on though, because I think we're going to just.
I'm just sorry. I wanted to talk about this because I had heard, rumors that they're going to bring the WoW token into TBC.
To play devil's advocate, it's like to your point, Def Camp, though. Like, I think your point also makes sense. Where it's just like, come on, Cargos, don't be an idiot. There's always a way to buy power. That's just life. In life, you can buy power. So if you can't just buy a WoW token, you can take it to a site, a third party, make another account. You can always jug and finesse your way into being able to buy power.
Yeah,
that is literally everything in life, and WoW is no exception. And you just have to be motivated enough. So at that point, why don't you just settle for the lesser evil? But anyway, we can move on.
I feel like we do a whole episode about the WoW.
Yeah. So something about the classic realms, that say that whether they're fresh or not, the classic vanilla realms is, I think what's really interesting is, and this will pique your interest, Cargos, is that I think the meta slaves, if you will move with TBC, right? People have seen the experience already on Classic. They've done all the raids, and they want to move into a new content phase, which will make either these fresh vanilla servers or non-fresh vanilla servers a haven for actually playing the game. And more like private servers were. What do you guys feel about that?
I 100% agree with you, Melderon. I think that if these fresh servers, vanilla servers are a thing, they're going to feel a lot. They're going to be lower population, probably. They're going to be filled with players that, love Classic, for leveling, for doing this, whatever. There might be a couple, Zug guilds there, whatever, but for the most part, I think it's going to be very casual. I think
that's a good point. I didn't think of that, but that's a good point. That kind of makes me want to do it, even.
Me being a raider and someone who does follow metas and thinks they're interesting, I'm going to move into TBC. But when I think about why would I go back to Classic, it would be to do something I've never done and to take my time and enjoy. Like, I think that's what Classic always provided people, and we as a community ruined that, in my opinion.
True.
We made it into something that was, because of world buffs mostly, honestly. That's
fair. I think I have a little bit of a feeling that maybe not the majority, but people are switching from the meta slave thing a little bit more towards the let's play the game and enjoy it a bit more. At least that's kind of the general feeling I get. I don't think, and I think because world buffs are basically not in the game in TBC, it will be a lot better. But things like drums and stuff, there have been videos on YouTube where you can see that drums are actually not that great and they are trending. So I feel like people are gonna do their own thing more, even in TBC, and enjoy it a little bit more.
How about doing it in on this one? I think people, a large swath of people, had expectations for Classic. They might have had a chip on their shoulder. They've never like succeeded in Classic, where they maybe most of us back in the day were noobs, right? Be honest, like you played Classic and you maybe 100%. Dabbled in the raids, but you didn't really get too far. So you're like, man, I want to prove to myself that I can perform and be a top DPS or a top whatever your goal was. And some people, that expectation, was met, or some people realized that wasn't the right play to try to shoot for that. So people going into TBC can kind of course correct a little bit here and make the experience more effective for them, And I think for a lot of people that's going to be not playing on a PvP server, for example. That's one thing that I've lost a bit of interest to do that, right? Or maybe some people have realized I'm not going to play in a hardcore raiding guild. I want to just go for more of like a semi-hardcore or a casual raiding guild, or
I think you guys are right, and here's another reason why. I think like when you look at a lot of people and what they want to do in TBC, it's not like you don't just have two choices, right? Like there's so much more to do in TBC than there is in Classic. So the person who wants to raid semi-competitively, do arena, do heroics, do everything that there is available in TBC, might say, hey, like I'm not going to put all of my time into going 100% hardcore. And I think we're going to see a little bit more, like even ourself, Melderon, like what we're planning to do in our guild, like we are no longer going to require that we practice on fucking PTRs, right? Like even ourselves are going in this direction. I think that it is something that I do agree with, because like I said, there's just so much more to do in a TBC. So our time's going to be spent doing other things than just focusing on raiding.
Yeah, and I think that's why we decided to do that, is because a lot of people want to do arena, right? A lot of people want to put a lot of time and effort towards that, and there's other parts of the game that are worth your time investment. I'm not saying that isn't true for Classic, but people lost that. And again, I made a video recently, and I wasn't 100% lambasting world buffs. I wasn't. I actually said that they're actually very interesting in that, because I think they provide some interesting flavor. However, as a whole, I still think they're terrible for the game. I still think that it forces people to play in a way that kills the world. It kills, and the world, as you know, Cargos, the hardcore is so significant. Like leveling and the world itself is everything. And if you take that away, what is Classic WoW except for raid logging? Yeah,
you're left with only a little bit of content. Yeah, as opposed to the main content of Classic WoW is the leveling. I mean, you ask Kevin Jordan how much time went into making the leveling versus the end game, for sure. And one thing that's also great, I say it all the time on stream, is that if you're ever dissatisfied with the meta, whether it's in TBC, Wrath, retail, whatever, like hopefully hardcore is now a thing, an option in your mind too. You can always kind of like revert back to that and like immunize yourself to all of the potential issues with the server, the meta, or whatever, and just be able to play.
Yeah.
Solo self-found one life. It's a lot of fun. So another thing, kind of taking a page out of. First of all, I'm really excited for the Diablo announcements tomorrow. I've been playing.
Oh yeah, I want to talk about this as well. Yeah,
there's nothing. So I'm assuming the entire press thing was released. There's nothing. So why didn't anyone else release anything about other games? I'm a little confused about that.
Maybe they did.
That's a good point.
Maybe they did though. I don't know. I didn't check other games.
Maybe it wasn't a genuine mistake.
Well, we only checked on WoW-Head, right? So we didn't check Diablo Head.
Well, I checked Hearthstone, but
okay.
Is Diablo Head a thing?
Is it just there's something like? Yeah, I don't know.
I remember what I was going to say.
Let me just say that Diablo 4, right? Like, really looking forward to that. But Cargos, do you think that there is credence to these Diablo 2 remake talks?
Yeah, I won't beat the horse too much here. I've been talking about it like obsessively for the past couple of days, but pretty much I've been sleeping on the Diablo community. It still exists. There still is a community. D3 still has seasons and a lot of passionate people who love the game, as well as D2. And they parallel us in many, many ways, guys. Like, I think you guys should be excited for Diablo. The same people who enjoy Warcraft enjoy Diablo for the most part.
Absolutely.
And, they basically think that Diablo 2 Resurrected is coming in the same way that we think TBC Classic is coming. Like,
wow, they're that confident.
They're direct parallels. Like they've been saying, they're gonna announce it this year. This is the one. They really believe that. So tomorrow, look out for it. Diablo 2 Resurrected could come out, and it could possibly come out before TBC if they announce it. You never know, which would be
so
a lot of fun.
Is there literally no, Carlos, you might know this, I was just looking online, there's literally no Wowhead equivalent for Diablo 3?
There are some resources out there. Yeah, there's some resources out there, but nothing. Okay. I don't think Wowhead touches it. But they do have planners, like character planners and guide sites and stuff like that for Diablo that I've been looking out for. But
gotcha.
There's some things like from Diablo that I've been playing a lot recently, Melderon, that I kind of, I'm not gonna lie, man, a part of me wishes WoW had it a little bit, and I'm curious to chat if you have any take on this. Like,
so Def Camp and I about 2 years ago had a video idea that we never did, and I'm so kicking myself in the ass for not doing it. Because D2, so if you look at World of Warcraft, right? Mm-hmm. World of Warcraft's assets are literally ripped from D2.
There's so much of it, dude.
Really?
It is.
Oh my God.
Okay, let's go into the talent trees. Talent trees were first in Diablo 2 before they were in WoW. Gem socketing, first in Diablo over WoW. All of the tiger, of the thing, all these random enchantments, that's from Diablo. The color scheme, like blue, green, purple, legendaries, all from Diablo, right?
Yeah.
Everything. Wow. The only thing that was really Warcraft was the Warcraft 3 classes.
And some of the abilities and like, yeah. So, like, let's not forget, guys, they were literally going, like, they were strongly thinking about making Diablo MMO. And all of those thoughts and things that they went talking about went directly into World of Warcraft, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, a lot of people say, Warcraft 3 and Warcraft 4, like, a lot of people say that World of Warcraft is more of a Diablo 3 or more of a new, Diablo MMO than anything.
The paper doll, like the literal, your character sheet is from Diablo, like everything. Everything.
Well, here's some things that maybe WoW, like, so when people think Classic Plus, I swear to God, I promise you I won't spend more than 5 minutes talking about this, but just humor me for a second. What if you know how in Diablo the dungeons are randomly generated, kind of, and you can, like, they can be kind of annoying sometimes, they can be very straightforward sometimes. Mm-hmm. What if WoW had, like, the same, like, a dungeon, let's say it's a slave pens or whatever, had a tile set, but it was kind of randomly generated. The layout each time would be an option. Then, as well as, how they have these affixes on the mobs to add a little bit of RNG and variety, even if it doesn't ultimately change that much, just the idea that dungeons are a little bit different every time, as opposed to, like, in Classic, everything is identical all the time. Every dungeon, you can always do the exact same route, the exact same evade spot, reset point. Everything is always identical. Yeah. I just think it would be kind of cool to think if there was a little bit of variance to it, then the replayability would go up. But
retail has some
I think
stuff.
that's Torghast, basically. Like people in chat are saying already. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's existing retail, but I think Cargo's talking about, like, existing in Classic.
In Classic, or
is that what you're? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I compare these games right next to each other all the time, and WoW does so much great stuff, Diablo does so much great stuff, but I just think to myself, when you have content that is perceived as static and never changes, it is kind of demoralizing to those playing and watching. It makes you sometimes feel like you're playing a dead game and you're trying to innovate and sandbox it and have fun with it. But the way Diablo is structured is it's not really ever completely dead, just because always there's some variance with stuff, whether you're rolling for...
Yeah, and then they also change things from season to season 2 on top of that, right? Mm-hmm. You have, like, the randomly generated dungeons, and you have random affixes, but then you have, like, now in this season, this, class gets this buff or debuff, or who knows, right? Like, so yeah, it's an interesting concept, but I don't think it works in MMO, outside something like Torghast or... Mythic Plus. I think you have to have some permanence in the MMO world, right? Because otherwise, the lore doesn't really make sense.
True, I see it from the lore perspective.
Yeah,
makes
you know
sense.
what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea, and I think they did actually do a good job with like Mythic Plus and Turk. I mean, there are some things about retail WoW that I do think that they kind of went a good direction with, but a lot that I don't. But something like that I think is actually and you look at what they took from Diablo, right? So much of it, and I think it was a lot of the good things that they did take from it. So all that being said, like Diablo 4, if it's a success, does well. I hope they do. There are some things about Diablo 3 that I liked, but I do kind of hope they go back to that darkness that we all love about Diablo 2 and love about the original Diablo as well. We all played the demo, or I'm doing it anywhere, but we played the demo at BlizzCon. But the demo did feel a lot like Warcraft 3, especially like the gameplay and stuff like that.
Diablo 3?
Do you think, Cargos, that Diablo 4 has the capability to be like, the game that we all fucking want to be?
I don't think it's going to be like D2, like what Melderon loves about it, where Stone of Jordan trading and all that. It's going to move towards more MMO direction. I think this is basically, I'm piggybacking off what a lot of their community is saying, right? We're probably a year and a half still away from D4, but there's 3 Diablo titles that are probably going to get color on. Diablo Immortal, which is kind of, it's a mobile game, but possibly could be okay. But D2 Resurrected seems to be like, for people like Melderon and many others who played it back in the day, one of the most exciting things, like almost equally as exciting as TBC, and we could be living in a world where we could play both, man. And Diablo 2, if I had to choose any game in the entire world that I think desperately needs a fresh coat of paint, but in the same art style, like not changing it away from its original,
literally just a fresh
style.
coat of paint, basically.
Fresh coat of paint, it would be D2. But to tie this all back into WoW, I know because I'm just talking about Diablo randomly, but it would be cool thinking down the line with these classic servers to introduce some sort of seasonal servers, seasonal or hardcore or whatever it might be, because they have that in Diablo, and I feel like even if they don't touch the dungeons at all, they don't touch the classes or anything, adding seasonal and seasonal hardcore, something like that, could be really add longevity.
So here's why, right? Like we got what we wanted, Cargos. The whole community did. We got a no changes. Okay, we're gonna put quotes there because obviously there was differences. Close to as original as possible. Okay, we got that. What's now to say we can't do like an old school RuneScape approach in this and be like, okay, this year, do we want to do a hardcore classic server, or do we want to do a server where there's twice as hard raids or no world buffs, or why not
have one server that constantly changes on those things, right?
Or just have a constantly rotating thing, right? And then you have one server that's always classic WoW with world buffs, with everything, right? Like, why not? Why can't we look outside the box a little bit here?
Blizzard's perspective historically has been they think it's going to degenerate and segment and fragment the community, and there's some truth in that, but they've, like, the cat's out of the bag with that already, right? Like, if they're really announcing TBC and then there's going to be Classic, there's 3 MMOs they're essentially running at that point, right? So, like, they've already kind of crossed that line in the sand towards making little different servers. I think what Blizzard could benefit from, and maybe us as a community could do well to tell Blizzard how we would want to do it, is let's say if servers collapse or fail or implode or get super imbalanced, what is the best way to like merge servers without like ruffling feathers, like ruffling the least amount of feathers? Because we've noticed this since before Classic even came out. Blizzard is terrified of the notion of having to consolidate servers or merge them, right? Like they think it's a fate worse than death, like to do that for some reason. Like it's destroys all the communities and stuff, and there's some truth in that, but maybe they'd be willing to take more risks on that if there was a recourse, if the servers didn't end up doing well. Maybe you just shut it down or something, right? That might be the play too. Just say, okay, sorry guys, we're just shutting these servers down. They didn't work out. I don't know.
Now you mean for like Classic or
for Classic or TBC or whatever, right? Like so remember back in the day, right, when Classic was coming out, we were saying, how come there's not more servers for Classic? They announced Classic servers. There's like 5 of them. It was like Herod, Fairlina, Scarum. They only announced a few of them, remember? And everyone was like, dude, that's way too few. And their whole thought process on it was, hey, we'll just have them all be these big layered things, and we can kind of roll out more if we need to later. I don't think that worked out that well for him, though, right? I mean, just looking at the way the faction balance ended up playing out.
Yeah. You look at retail WoW though, and like servers mean basically absolutely nothing there. It's like you are on a server where it's sharded with other servers, right? And like each zone is like sharded in its own way, where you can see someone from, and that was the main. I think the main thing is like you totally lose that sense of community. You totally lose that sense of camaraderie with people from your own server and stuff like that. And I think because like a lot of people were saying like, oh, maybe that could be an option to fix the imbalance on certain servers, but like that to me is the worst thing you can do in Classic is to consolidate all the servers together.
What I think is super interesting about Classic as a whole, and what we've seen, is that it didn't do anything anyone expected it to do. Okay, so it broke Blizzard's perceptions. I think Blizzard thought it was going to be somewhat successful. I think Blizzard, kind of thought it wouldn't require a lot of investment time. I truly believe that. And that was shattered as well. It shattered our expectations as private server veterans because we thought it was going to be just like a private server, and it wasn't that either. And it also shattered the expectations of the people who didn't play private servers, who wanted to come back to a game they remember when they were a lot younger, and it was very different. So it's very interesting that it totally broke everyone's expectations. Either that's a good thing or a bad thing.
That's some big brain shit. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I don't know what that means, but I just thought about that now, and I'm wondering, how do we try to go back and maybe want to satisfy our expectations? The only way to do that, in my opinion, is to have different types of ideas and server ideas, and because I wanted Light's Hope, I wanted Chronos, I wanted
Classic
Stellaris. Right. That's what I wanted to experience, because honestly, I don't really remember my vanilla experience. And what I tasted on Nostalrius and those other servers is what I wanted to experience on a private server, and I did. On Official Classic, and I didn't get that. So that's one thing that I would like to experience, and I'm sure people have very different. But I don't think it played out in any way that anyone thought. Is what I was trying to say.
Yeah. A lot of teachings from everything that panned out. Hopefully they can make some adjustments.
Yeah. I think for TBC too, like looking forward, it's important to keep all that in mind too, right? Because, there were some things that they definitely could have done better with Classic, right? And, I think it's important at the end of the day to say, yes, we're never going to get the exact copy of what it was like back then, but I think it's important to strive to get as close as possible of the feeling, right, of how it was back then. And what I mean by that is like, obviously there are going to be differences, but I think it's important to make the game feel like we all remembered it. Obviously, everyone remembers it differently and everyone felt differently about it, but there are the core principles about, TBC, which are really important, which is obviously the community, the content, arena and things like this, a lot of these changes. And I think it's really important to know, even though, like the content rolled out in a way where, raids were all available in the beginning, realistically, basically no one did it in the time frame that they could probably do it now. So I think even though we're asking for a change with this new phase plan, it's in the realm of how it felt back then, right? And that's what we're trying to recreate with Classic. I think with TBC, I think it's important to keep all those things in mind when looking forward, is that, just by making a carbon copy of what happened back then is not always the best thing, right? Because that carbon copy is going to end up being a lot different today than it was back then.
For sure. It's a whole argument between capturing the spirit of the game versus just capturing the game with its original values. But, I'm in it for the long run, like this is the first iteration of Classic servers. I will 100% play a Classic server fresh again at some point, right? So like maybe just doing one cycle with the original values is a decent way to go about it. Here's another point that I wanted to bring up too. Do you guys think in the chat Blizzard does a good job managing or leading this community on the Classic side of things? Do you feel from for whatever it's worth, from my perspective, maybe I'm not in the Cool Kids Club or something, but they seem kind of cold to the touch a bit. It would be cool to get Blizzard, for Blizzard to have some badass community managers, something, just roll up their sleeves and do stuff weekly or bi-week. I don't know, man. I'm just do some stuff, create a pulse there, some energy, some I don't know what that means necessarily, whether it's just doing a stream every month or something and doing an update. People always point towards OSRS, the old school RuneScape community, and how hands-on they are, and how much communication is there back and forth between the community. it would be really nice moving into TBC to feel. I don't know. The other end of the spectrum, though, is what Kevin Jordan said back in the day when we talked to him, when he said, "You should just let us do our job, and we should stay away from you guys," right? To create. So
Yeah.
Yeah, but that
That's
was when we trusted them. You know.
Yes, that's exactly what the guild member of mine said today. If ideal scenario is we have capable developers that know what the community wants without the need to ask us. That's ideal, but that's not the case, right? I always feel like they are lagging a little bit behind, and they don't really know exactly what's going on. Because, right, I can give an example of what DevCamp actually just said. You have the spirit of the game, or like the actual recreation of the game, and recently we had that patch where they added like the seal twisting thing for paladins. I'm not entirely sure what the general opinion on that is, but personally I don't like it. And for me personally, it's like some kind of exploit that now is made legal because they patch it so you can still seal twist. But it's not something I really enjoy, and I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'd rather not have it in the game. So still they made that for TBC and for the end of Classic to be in the game. It's a bit strange to me. I'm not entirely sure if people actually like it, so I might be totally.
But if we had that communication with Blizzard doing it, right? If we had that communication with Blizzard, and Blizzard goes, "Hey, we think this is good for the game right now. Like, we'll see how it goes. You know, we can always go back to the original values. Like, you know, we're working on this together. Like, because it doesn't have to necessarily be that way till the end of time. You know, maybe the seal twisting thing isn't a big deal, and they go back on it.
It's still on PTR, by the way. So I don't know if they're gonna keep it, but the point is they are doing it, and it seems like they are doing as a favor, and for me personally they are not doing me a favor, and I feel like many people think like that, but I might be totally off. And there's multiple things like that, like they try to recreate things, say spell batching, and they removed it, but it took way too long.
So I think
like
what
they're
they
lagging
need to
behind.
do is exactly like, not exactly what they do on retail, but something similar, where they have, you know, when they have Ian Hazakassis and Lore, and they sit down and they do those what you know, the fucking what are they called?
Yeah, like I know what you're talking about, where they just sit there and they just like talk about.
Yeah, they sit there and they have people call in with questions. They have
that'd be awesome.
They answer questions. The fuck, I forget what it's called, but like, you know, even something where is, you know, like just a small like is part of that, right? Where you have like, you know, one of the lead developers come on for Classic for a half hour, you know, on stream, talks about, you know, what's going to go on in the next patch or what's happening, and, you know, goes over some questions that were brought up to him, and like that little bit right there would be fucking Q&As. Thank you.
Yeah.
Those like a Q&A for Classic, like what, once every month or, you know, whatever, like
Quarter, even like 4 times a year.
Yeah,
that would be huge. That would.
I actually don't know what's better though. Is it valuable to know Blizzard's thought process on things? Like, I feel like it would be, but then at the same time, what if it's the same result anyway? Then maybe it doesn't matter. You feel me? Like, there's so many questions we've had for literally years, but nobody ever knows what Blizzard's thought process on it is, right? So we're just kind of guessing. You know, what if we're talking about spell batching and they're like, actually, this is our thought process on spell batching and how we got here, and then bam. I don't know.
But there's other things, like, is there anyone who really likes the mage boosting meta if you make a new character?
No.
I don't think so. Why don't they just change that? I mean, it's stubborn.
Well, you'd have to nerf the class's damage output, right? Like,
you can nerf the amount of targets that are affected by the damage.
You could, but then the argument would say, like, oh, on Nax I use my Arcane Explosion on 10 mobs, and now I can't.
They have done some stuff, though. You have to keep it in mind. They have reduced the instance cap, right? The instance cap is now set at
yeah, but
50
that doesn't really help. I mean, people just getting boosted still. What could help, honestly, is just lower the experience. If you're like a level 20 character and there's a 61 boosting you gain no experience, it's fixed.
Yeah, if you're like a level 60, you would just have reduced XP with the 60 in the party. That would feel a lot better than like nerfing mages. People would be rioting in the streets, right? They'd be like with pitchforks in hand and everything.
Stuff like that, there's plenty of things like brawl buffs as well. People crying about it, and it's still in the game, and it would make things so much better if it wasn't. But there's I don't know. They feel a little bit out of touch sometimes.
Yeah, I think they were very involved in the game before launch cargoes, and I think afterwards it was kind of like that's how I feel. You know, it was kind of like, we did it, it's out, it's on this like this like train track now,
Yep.
and that's it.
That's
you
a
know?
great
I think
analogy.
that's how.
And they downsized the team, it felt like, too, because we met some of the people on the team. It kind of felt that, like, a lot of people, just, I don't know. It's pretty much like what you said. It was on the train track. They're like, yeah, 2-year runway, let it run. Let's go.
I got a question a little bit off topic, but how is the consensus? I don't know, because it has to do with TBC, but of how Shadowlands is doing now. Because I know a lot of people felt it was started off strong, and a lot of people I think now are unhappy with it again. Obviously, it's a roller coaster ride, but
is it exactly what every expansion is since
basically, right? Yeah,
since Warlords.
I've been thinking about like kind of the correlation between retail and classic, and the seeing how many people play both, and I think that we're kind of at a point now where again, with TBC coming out launch, we could possibly have more people playing TBC.
Oh
than
yeah,
Shadowlands,
at least for a bit.
you know? Yeah.
I do think though, like we've all lived through enough WoW expansions to see the roller coaster up and down. Shadowlands hung in there for a long time with positive favor. Like I think it's going to go down as one of the best expansions. Probably people seem to like they still
I think it looks
even
like
right now
on level with like maybe Legion, I guess. Yeah. Maybe.
It's best expansions. Then you mean like the post Wrath era, or even Mists era.
Usually it's quicker for people to turn on the expansions, right? Every expansion, without fail, it goes
I think
up
people are
and
starting
then-
to now. Honestly, I think they are.
But
I think it's starting to
people
happen.
really want to like Shadowlands, and I think there's honestly some good stuff in Shadowlands, but it's the same thing. You read the same things as always. It starts to get boring. If I log in, I don't know what to do because there's like 5,000 things popping up, and it's a bit overwhelming. You read the same comments. It's not my opinion, by the way. It's what I read and what I hear on the internet. So, just the same old issues.
People are saying like it's no miss, but it's pretty good. Like that's what I've been hearing. I heard there were some issues with some stuff recently. PvP, I don't know where the PvP is at the moment, but I feel like it's always kind of this thing where obviously a new expansion comes out, there's a big hype around it, but I mean I feel like one of the big issues the Shadowlands, it was brought a lot of new things in there. I feel like one of the major issues is like the amount of systems that they bring into a game. That they try to make these systems work, but it ends up just being like too much of a mess. You know what I mean? For all these fucking systems that come in, and I think like that's one of the beauty about TBC is that I feel like TBC is so pure in its like abilities and like what they're right. I mean, like there's no fucking like out there thing that you have to get. Like it's just like you have your abilities, you get your gear. PvP has resilience. It's like for me, it was like the purest fucking form.
The way I look at it, bro, is we have classic WoW, we have retail, and TBC's like the in between, man. It's like the in between. Yeah. So there really is so many different strokes for different folks. You can play all three of them, man. You literally can play all three. You can play one. Maybe you want to play one for a little bit, switch to another one. It's nice being able to live in that world though, where you have multiple iterations of the game you can play in. It's a great time to be a WoW fan for sure.
What Defcam said, simplicity is actually relaxing, and it's my girlfriend said the same thing today. She was leveling up in the starting zones, and she said, "Well, those starting zones, I like it because it's so simple. I have 5 quests, I know what to do, and
but it's not boring either.
It's
right?
not boring.
It's like,
It's simple. It's relaxing in a way, and after it gets a little bit overwhelming." Right.
Yeah, retail is like a headache. It's like
but
so much shit in your face. Like
even for a new player in Classic, if you're sent to like you can go to like 5 different zones at let's say level 45. So it gets retail is like that, but 100 times worse. So I get that as well. The simplicity makes it fun and relaxing, and too much is just overwhelming and it doesn't feel enjoyable.
Yeah. I was thinking about like what because they have like that whole thing of like what's new, what's next for WoW for retail, and just humor me for a second. I was gonna wait till Melderon gets back, but I don't know where he went. So I wanted to bring up this point. This is kind of a lore thing right now. So basically, the whole lore leading up to like right now in Shadowlands is the whole thing with Sylvanas. I don't know if you guys have followed the lore. Sylvanas doing her shit, right? But I had a thought the other day, and I'm like, am I crazy, or am I fucking like, am I seeing through what they're trying to do, right? So everyone was annoyed that like, fucking Sylvanas is turning into this mustache twirling fucking version of Garrosh Hellscream, basically. So they expanded the lore a little bit. When Arthas was killed in Wrath of the Lich King, right? Fucking Sylvanas jumped off the fucking thing and killed herself, right? Whatever. So she kills herself, and she, in her darkness, whatever, what they had said recently, she basically found out that, the whatever with the jailer, the whole thing with the jailer, and then basically, behind Ner'zhul, behind everything else that was going on with Arthas, was the jailer, right? So the jailer literally was the one basically controlling Arthas, controlling his thoughts, gave him his weapon, gave him all his shit, right? So what I think happened, and what I'm standing by this shit, right, is that when Sylvanas killed herself, she found out that the jailer was actually the one behind Arthas's doings, right? So the one who was controlling Arthas and what he was doing was the fucking jailer. And this whole time, what she's been trying to do is basically get in with the jailer, right? To get his trust, all this shit, because she cares about nothing else other than her revenge, right?
I have no idea what any of this means.
I know. Just bear with me for a second.
Right.
She gets in there, right? She's already trying to turn fucking Anduin against, them. I think she's gonna fucking use Anduin or whatever. I think she's gonna fucking come out and try to kill the jailer, and I think that's how the fucking expansion is gonna end, with Sylvanas basically fucking being not a hero, but in a way she kind of, because she still did horrible fucking things, right? But she this whole time has been working to get close to fucking the jailer, since the jailer, like I said, the jailer was the one who fucking did everything, told Arthas to do all that, right? Ner'zhul.
I'm just surprised you know about this lore, man. You've been keeping up with the Shadowlands stuff, man.
I listen to a lot of lore stuff, right? So all Sylvanas is trying to do right now is to get to the point where she can kill the jailer, weaken him some way, use Anduin or whatever to kill the fucking jailer to get back, because he was the one controlling Arthas. That's what I think is going to happen at the end of Shadowlands. I hope they go that route, because otherwise it's too fucking. It's too the repeat of just Garrosh and her being so evil. There has to be a point of her doing what her doing. I don't think it's the whole thing of her trying to get rid of the fate of people, whether they die, whatever. I think she wants vengeance against the jailer for what he did. Basically, he was the one in charge of Arthas. So
gotcha.
I just wanted to say that was my theory. I don't know if people agree, but that does make sense. That doesn't make sense. Maybe I'm not fully up on everything, but like everything that I've heard. Decent theory, to be honest. Thank you for everything that I've heard. Like that kind of made sense to me. But like all that said, the simplicity of the fucking lore in TBC as well. Like honestly, I never really understand like why we ended up killing Illidan. I thought that I don't know. I thought like that was a little weird. But I love the fucking the idea of going to Outland, going to Draenor, going to where the orcs came from, all that. Like I really like the lore in TBC. I like the lore better, and I think Wrath had that perfect story. But like Meldron, would you agree? Do you think the lore in TBC is still at that point where it's like it's in the storytelling? It's a little bit not all over the place, right? Because you're fighting.
No, it's literally contained in the books and Warcraft. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So everything. So that's another thing, like the whole space thing. Like I want to just stress that it's not technically space. So the fact that Draenor was ripped apart by the Dark Portal, and the reason you see space is because of that. It's like the atmosphere has been ripped off of certain places, twisting nethers. So I don't really look at it as a space expansion. The way I've always looked at it was going back to before the orc lore, right? It's more of an orc lore expansion to me. Yeah. So of course the Draenei are from a different planet. Yes, that is the one thing to me that's very strange. Coming from they have space age technology. They have faster than light travel, yet they're using swords and shields. Very strange, right? Like that is the one thing that I never understood.
I never knew why we killed Illidan, or I'm sorry, not killed him, but whatever. Yeah.
Outside of that, though, I always looked at it as like going to the planet where the orcs came from. I love orc lore, so this for me, it's like it's super cool. And if you look at all of those things, it's actually a older story than Azeroth's in a lot of ways, right? So of course you have the old gods and stuff. Azeroth has a very old story as well, but most of the story in Azeroth is very new compared to what you're experiencing in Outland. Right. So, I think the addition of flying mounts and the addition of the Draenei makes it look more spacey than it really should be or was, in my opinion.
But do you think there was some confusion, like with the whole, like, because I was confused when we went to kill Illidan, right? Because like the whole story of Illidan in Warcraft 3, it's like, yeah, he's not like a good guy, but he's not really like a bad guy either, right? He's still against the same people that we were against.
Well, he's morally ambiguous. That makes the best villains, right?
Yeah.
Morally ambiguous villains are the best. You don't want to fight pure evil because there's no, look at all the best villains. Darth Vader, right? Okay. Anakin Skywalker was a troubled person, thought he was doing the right thing, fell into madness and darkness, right? And that's why Darth Vader is so important and impactful as a villain, is because of the good and bad that's in him. So I think Illidan is the same way. So I think it's okay.
I guess you argue that with Arthas too, right?
100%. Like Arthas sought power initially, stop the Scourge, right?
Right.
And then he was corrupted by Frostmourne and Ner'zhul and all those things. And that's another reason why Lich King is so loved as a villain, because there's so much you can relate to.
Yeah.
If you can't relate to a villain, then it's not a good villain, right? And that's why I think Shadowlands and the newer expansions, you're fighting the Void Lords, which are like the most evil thing possible. Yeah. Okay, what does that do?
The Jailer, literally like death itself. Like, and the story of the Blood Elves is always intriguing, right? Because they are literally like a race that is like 90% of them died during the Scourge invasion, right? Now they're dying from their addiction, and like Kel'Thas is literally trying to do whatever he can to save his people.
Yeah,
and then we go there and just like murder half, and like the funny thing is like you're a blood elf and you're murdering your people. Like, I never part always felt kind of weird to me.
That's every war in human history.
No, I know. I understand that. It's just yeah.
Yo, let's go to the schedule though, real quick though. Let's start.
We're talking philosophy now. Yeah.
Let's start wrapping up. So tomorrow, there's a lot of confusion there. Tomorrow is BlizzCon. Like tomorrow is literally when we get the announcements, right? Like I'm looking right now, February 19th.
What time is everything starting?
So February 19th, which is tomorrow, unless I am hallucinating, and it starts at 3 p.m. Pacific time.
PST. Okay.
So that's 6 p.m. Eastern, right? I think it's whatever time it is in Europe. I think Europe is 9 hours ahead of me right now. So that probably sucks to be in Europe at that point. It's what is it? Midnight for Europe when this all happens.
It starts at 11 p.m. Yeah, Central European time. Yeah,
but there's a pre-ceremony before that, isn't there?
Right.
Well, the first event starts at the pre-show starts at 11.
Which is basically
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do a viewing party, a watch party tomorrow for the first time in BlizzCon history. You're gonna be able to stream this thing and like watch it. Apparently, we tweeted at the customer support or whatever, and they said, yeah, that's fine. We'll see how it goes. Might get striked. You never know. But
no, I think we'll be fine. Yeah.
We're going to do a viewing party. I think all of you guys, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to make it or not, but we'll have a bunch of cameras up on stream, a bunch of us, and we're going to open up the TBC Discord. There's a new TBC Discord. We're all in it right now. We'll open up some channels in it if you guys want to chill and hopefully... Yeah, I'm going to put it in right now. No limit. There's this has been kind of low-key for a while, but it's filling up like crazy.
Yes, it is.
So if you want to be part of the newest, the hottest, the freshest TBC Discord,
definitely join that shit.
There you go.
Starting tomorrow, it fucking begins, boys.
Mm-hmm.
It begins. So yeah, we're gonna be streaming as well. I don't know what, but like I think it's gonna be fine as stream card goes. I mean, the fact that it's open for everyone, there shouldn't be an issue.
It would be cool to get all of us be in a call or something when it drops though. I don't know, or to just feel like we're doing something bigger as a community. You'll be streaming it too, so I'll be streaming it. We'll all be streaming it. Maybe we can get in a Discord call and talk about it or something.
Yeah.
But tomorrow, all of this is happening tomorrow, man. So we're gonna pretty much get all the Diablo updates as well. It looks like all the hot and fresh stuff. They're not saving it like best for last, right? The second day, I'm looking at the 20th, is all like Q&A, community showcase. So they're blowing their load at the very start. Like they are front loading all of the content. It's going to be a hell of a day tomorrow, man.
And I think at one point the WoW stuff is going to happen simultaneous with the Diablo stuff. but they're going to So what they're going to do is they're going to replay it so that you can watch the WoW stuff and then watch Diablo stuff right after. Yeah. And that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be watching the WoW stuff and then watch the Diablo stuff right after that. So
Yeah.
I think, honestly, man, they're going to open up with the fucking TPC announcement. Then they're going to go into fucking Diablo 4. Then, possibly, I don't know, maybe Diablo 2 remake? I don't know, man. I don't know. That would be fucking amazing.
I sure hope so, man. It could be. Oh, man. I'm going to be so freaking excited if they announce Diablo 2 Resurrected, man. Malderon, I don't know. Did you ever think that they would come, bro?
If they announce TBC and Diablo 2 remastered, this will be, for me, the most amazing BlizzCon. Like because classic. Okay, all right. When they announced Classic WoW, I lost my shit. Right. Okay, that's fine. But this is, let's say that a TBC announcement is 75% of that, and then you add on D2 remaster, which it just blows out. Like, I don't know. That's just so huge, right?
Melvin, have you ever played a D2 fresh? Is that even something you dreamed of playing? Like, where it's like a bunch of people in mass playing D2 at the same time?
Oh my
is that
God.
even
amazing?
Yeah.
I don't really know. I just hope the art style is in line with the original in some way, man. Because like it could go really like D3. The art style's okay.
It was a little more cartoony.
Then you see NPCs like Magda with butterflies on her shoulder, and you're like,
True.
Diablo was very realistic for its day. It was a very real, kind of dark, feel to it. The graphics obviously weren't, anything of what today, but back in the day, they felt fucking real. It felt very real.
This BlizzCon, I said it before, I'll say it again. I went to the last physical one. Def Camp Melderon were there. I was there with Gray and stuff. It felt like Warcraft was a footnote, and Diablo was kind of a footnote since it was really early. It was really like Overwatch-centric. I'm looking at this, and it looks like a brick wall of the games I love and care about the most. WoW and Diablo, man, with some nice splash of Hearthstone here as well. I'm hoping for the best BlizzCon ever tomorrow. Yeah?
There's no mention of Heroes of the Storm whatsoever.
Well, they stopped... They stopped it, right? They no longer are progressing the game, right?
They were still making new heroes.
Oh.
They were just stopping the esport part.
Yeah, I didn't even realize the thing was still on the launcher.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. Is it? No, it is. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's strange. Well, Hearthstone might be interesting. So apparently some big changes coming up. So.
Yep. I'm super fucking excited, boys.
Me too, man.
Tomorrow.
Oh, it's gonna be insane.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so insane. I can't wait, guys. I know. All right. Any last thoughts for the people? We'll call it here for now. We got the 2 hours in. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you.
It was a lot of fun.
Last thoughts, please. Make separate phases of tier 4 and tier 5. That's my closing thoughts.
Yep.
You want to plug your YouTube or Twitch, anything like that?
Oh, well, I'm not really active on it. I plan doing it in the future, but as you probably know, we are will be moved for a temporary time period, like a year, living at my parents, and next year when I'm back at my own place, I will start doing stuff again. So I can link the YouTube, but you will not find anything new on it.
Okay. Yeah, link whatever you got. I just tried to shout out Def Camp's channel, Melderon's channel. If you guys want to follow them, it's been been a while since our last GMA, so it was great.
Yeah, man,
it was a
really
great time,
nice
man.
to be. What was that so dumb? Oh,
yeah.
I think like honestly, dude, if we get, listen, we're getting TBC announcement, like we know that's gonna happen, but if we get Diablo 2, like
rip our lives, man.
There's gonna be a fucking I don't know. I might start going to church, dude. Like for real.
Most Diablo fans that I talk to, bro, are actually more excited for D2 Resurrected than D4. Like legitimately.
I believe it, dude.
Because they're like, I know D2 is good.
Yeah, I'm one of them actually. Yeah.
Would you?
D4 sounds great and all, but like, dude, if you're gonna tell me that they're gonna re-release that game, I don't.
Melderon, I'm gonna put you between a rock and a hard place, Melderon.
Yeah.
If D2 and TBC were coming out the same exact day, I know your brain is probably short-circuiting thinking about it.
Which one would I play?
Which one are you playing on day 0?
Because I want to play with my friends, I would pick TBC.
Okay.
if I wasn't in a guild and didn't enjoy the people I play with, I might pick D2.
Damn. It might it might be something special for all the Diablo fans to see a Diablo fresh for D2, right? The game, their beloved game, where everybody is playing in mass at scale, because it's all about player trading and stuff, right? As opposed to, running rifts and shit, with Stone of Jords. Anyway, guys,
a world Diablo would just sorry. Go ahead.
It would be beautiful, man. It would be beautiful.
Anyway, guys, great episode. We'll see you next time. We'll see you tomorrow when we're doing our pregame show for BlizzCon. Have a good one, folks. We're going to pass you off to Grace for Days, the Prince of Mulgore. Take it easy, folks.
Peace.